Chapter 30-12. Book 1, Chapter 452. After flying for a while, Zhao Fu stopped at a large city to rest. Looking at the crowds ahead, it seemed that something interesting was happening. Zhao Fu followed over curiously and saw a handsome-looking man grabbing a beautiful woman's hand. The man had a playful smile on his face while the woman struggled angrily. The handsome-looking man lightly laughed as he said, "Since you bumped into me, shouldn't you compensate me?" The woman said angrily, "It was an accident and I've already apologized." The handsome-looking man laughed as he said, "I don't care. It's your honor that I've taken a liking to you." The beautiful woman struggled as she said, "Let go of me." The people in the surroundings watched on and no one went up to stop them, as they recognized that handsome-looking man. He was the young lord of Nine Hell Region. Nine Hell Region was a very powerful faction in the Western Alliance, and it was not any weaker than the 12 Moons. As the young lord of such a powerful faction, no one dared to stop him, and they could only watch on. Zhao Fu watched on by the side and did not show any signs of stopping them. At this time, Jun pulled the beautiful woman into his embrace and hugged her with both of his hands. The beautiful woman angrily struggled with all her might. Jun smiled as he looked at the woman in his embrace. It was as if the more she struggled, the more he liked her. "Let go of my little sister." A cold cry sounded out as a seductive woman who looked somewhat similar to the beautiful woman brought a large group of people over. Looking at this woman, Jun slightly frowned. Seeing the seductive woman appear, the beautiful woman smiled as she called out, "Big sis, this fellow is bullying me." Seeing her appear, everyone recognized her. She was the daughter of a Western Alliance leader, and her name was Siemens Meng. This beautiful woman was most likely Siemens Qing. Siemens Meng said coldly, "I'll say it again, let go of my little sister." Jun lightly laughed. "What if I don't?" Siemens Meng said coldly, "Then don't blame me for being impolite. You won't get any benefits in our Western Alliance territory." As she spoke, the people behind Siemens Meng gave off powerful auras. If it was just him fighting Siemens Meng, he would not be worried, but if it was a group of people, he would not be a match for them. If he was captured, it would be even more embarrassing. Jun loosened his grip and let go of Simon King with a smile. Siemens Qing hurriedly ran back to Siemens Meng. Siemens Meng asked with concern, "Sister, are you all right?" Siemens nodded. At this moment, a simple and honest voice sounded, "Let me see what's going on." The crowd dispersed, and a 2-meter-tall man with a pair of white bull horns, short white hair, and a piece of white jade embedded in the back of his throat appeared. "He's the Sky Sovereign Ox Beast Clan's young clan head, Niu Hu." Everyone looked at the Niu Hu in shock. The Empyrean Ox Beast was a powerful beast that had existed since the birth of the primal chaos world. It possessed a power that could shake the ancient times. Although its bloodline had fallen to a sacred tier bloodline, it was still an extremely powerful race that was not any weaker than the Chaos Dragons. The 3 people present were all famous geniuses of the Western Alliance. Seeing the 3 of them, everyone felt quite excited. Niu Hu looked at Jun and Siemens Meng and said with a smile, "So you two are here. What happened?" Siemens Meng said, "Nothing much." As she spoke, she turned and left with her people. Jun lightly laughed as she said, "Brother Ox, why are you here?" Niu Hu said with a simple smile, "My wife is too terrifying and always hits me, so I came out to have some fun." Jun came up and smiled as she said, "How about I take you to some good places to have some fun?" Niu Hu smiled as he said, "All right. Many thanks." Jun and Niu Hu walked towards a brothel. Zhao Fu walked towards Siemens Meng and planned to rely on her to enter the Western Alliance and obtain that source skeleton. On the way, Siemens Qing looked at her big sister and smiled as she said, "Big sis, I came out to gather information about the Source Child and the Evil Immortal. Did you find anything?" Siemens Meng replied, "According to some secret information, the Immortal used the identity of the Son of Origin to infiltrate the Eastern Alliance, and finally obtained the power of the previous immortal. I don't know how he deceived the Alliance Masters of the Eastern Alliance, or maybe that immortal is also the legendary son of Origin. Siemens Meng looked at Shimin Meng and said, Mother said that she wants to lend you to that source child. What do you plan to do, big sis? Siemens Meng sighed as she said, What else can I do? I'll just follow Mother's arrangements. Siemens Meng said curiously, This seems to be related to that skeleton in the Western Alliance. I wonder what Mother and the others are planning. Siemens Meng reminded her, The Western Alliance forbids people from talking about this, so it won't do you any good if you know. Shimin Ziqing replied, Oh! Zhao Fu followed behind them and thought about how to get close to them and gain their trust so that they could return to the Western Alliance together. Should he try to save the damsel in distress again? Even though this was cliché, it was quite useful. Or should he directly tell them his identity? That would not do. Although it was much more convenient, it was not conducive to his plan and would also be greatly restricted. Watching Siemens Meng and the others leave the city, Zhao Fu showed a naughty smile and planned to wait for them to go a little further before taking action. Suddenly, a tall figure appeared in front of him, grabbed Zhao Fu's collar with one hand and lifted him up. Taken aback, Zhao Fu looked at the person in front of him. It was a tall woman with a pair of white horns and long fluffy white hair. She was extremely beautiful, and there was a piece of white jade on her throat, which made her look relatively fierce. The fierce woman lifted Zhao Fu and said coldly, Boy, I can tell that you're up to no good. What do you want? Hearing this, the people of the Western Dream also stopped and looked at the city gate. Zhao Fu quickly explained, I didn't. Don't wrongly accuse a good person. The fierce woman snorted coldly. You're just a little thief. They'll say the same thing as you when they're caught. Zhao Fu was at a loss for words. The fierce woman turned her head and shouted, Hey, wait a minute. This boy wants to play tricks on you. I'll hand him over to you now. The fierce woman casually threw Su Bai in front of Siemens Meng and the others with surprisingly great strength. Several people stepped forward and grabbed Zhao Fu. Siemens Meng smiled and said, Thank you. The fierce woman said, No need. I can't stand villains like him always scheming behind our backs. By the way, have you seen my man? Chapter 3013. Volume 1, Chapter 453. Sin Meng asked, Are you Niu Hu's wife? The fierce woman nodded. My name is Niu Chun. Sin Meng said, He's now fooling around with Yu Jun in the brothel. Hearing this, the fierce-looking woman's face was filled with anger. With a ferocious aura, she charged into the city. A person next to her asked, Miss, how should we deal with this person? Sin Meng looked at Zhao Fu and said, Take off his cloak. Yes. The man obeyed and took off Su Bai's cloak, revealing a perfect, otherworldly face. No one present would have thought that there would be such a good-looking man in this city. It was extremely rare to see such a handsome man. Sin Meng looked at Zhao Fu with fascinated eyes, and her face turned slightly red. Sin Meng had greater composure. She looked at Zhao Fu and asked, What are you planning to do by following us? Zhao Fu said with a smile, I don't plan to do anything, it's a misunderstanding. Sin Meng glared at Zhao Fu. Hurry up and tell me. Don't think that I won't kill you just because you're so good-looking. Zhao Fu looked at Sin Meng gently and said in a sincere and affectionate voice, I saw that you're so beautiful and was moved by you, so I couldn't help but follow you. Looking at Zhao Fu's perfect face, Sin Meng blushed slightly in the face of his confession. It's impossible between us. Zhao Fu pretended to be sad and asked, Why? Is it because my status is low and I'm not worthy of you? Sin Meng explained with some discomfort, No, it's my mother who has already planned to marry me to someone else. Zhao Fu said dejectedly. I understand. Sin Meng looked at Zhao Fu and did not know how to persuade him. If not for her mother, she would be happy to give Zhao Fu a chance to pursue her. Sin Meng smiled and said, Don't be so sad. My sister can't, but I can. Zhao Fu's expression froze as he looked at Simon King. Simon's dream also looked at his younger sister, who seemed to have fallen in love with Zhao Fu. He felt a little jealous. Simon Qing said shyly, I don't mind your identity. If you're with me, I'm willing to accept you. Zhao Fu said with a smile, I'm willing. In any case, Zhao Fu's goal was to infiltrate the Western Alliance. As for the method he used, it didn't matter. Simon Qing was flabbergasted. He did not expect that Zhao Fu would actually agree. Siemens Meng was a little angry. This person had just confessed his love to her, and now he was asking about her sister's confession. He was like a scumbag. However, at this time, Siemens Meng couldn't directly stop him. She planned to give Zhao Fu a few tests to judge Zhao Fu's character. If he was really terrible, then she would ask her sister to leave this guy. Simon Qing reacted and revealed a happy smile. With a gentle smile on his face, Zhao Fu looked like a professional scumbag who deceived people's feelings. He held Simon King's hands and said sincerely, I will treat you sincerely. Siemens Meng's face became red. She felt a wave of sweetness and nodded. Siemens Meng felt a wave of jealousy in her heart. At that moment, a figure ran out. It was Niu Chun. Her face was filled with anger and some grievance, and her eyes were filled with tears. She had just barged into the brothel when she saw a man entangled with another woman, and there were several of them. Seeing this, Niu Chun directly ran out, planning to cut off all ties with Niu Hu. Western Ziming had expected this and comforted her, take it easy. Men are all good people, and they always like the new and dislike the old. As she spoke, she looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite awkward. Niu Chun nodded. I've already divorced Niu Hu. Even if he begs me in the future, it'll be useless. Western Ziming smiled as she said, We plan to return to the Western Alliance. Do you want to come to our place to have some fun? Niu Chun thought about it and found that she had nowhere to go, so she said, Sure. At that moment, Niu Chun noticed Zhao Fu. Looking at Zhao Fu's perfect face, she asked curiously, Who is he? Western Ziming smiled as she said, He's the person you caught. Niu Chun looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. She had never thought that someone she had caught so casually would be so good-looking. Zhao Fu smiled politely at her. Niu Chun felt annoyed whenever she saw men, so she glared at Zhao Fu. The group walked towards the Western Alliance. Of course, Zhao Fu had an honest look on his face, and Western Ziming could not find anything wrong with him. She could only suppress the dissatisfaction in her heart. After walking for a long time, a gray light landed in front of them. It was Yu Jun. Siemens Meng said coldly, What do you want now? Yu Jun smiled as he explained, Don't misunderstand, my target isn't you. Yu Jun looked at Niu Chun. Niu Chun's expression was cold as she said, Why are you looking for me? Yu Jun smiled as he said, Niu Hu agreed to let you accompany me for a night, so I came. Come with me now. What? Niu Chun looked furious. Niu Chun had never thought that Niu Hu would be such a bastard. He did not know that she had betrayed him and still wanted to give her to someone else. Yu Jun smiled as he said, Seeing that you're so beautiful, it's a pity to give you Niu Hu. Why don't you follow me in the future? Niu Chun said furiously, Scram. Yu Jun smiled as he said, Then I can only take you away. Western Ziming blocked in front of Niu Chun and said coldly, She's my friend now. I won't allow you to take her away. Yu Jun was quite angry. He had tolerated her before, but now she was acting like this again. He said coldly, Hurry up and hand her over, this has nothing to do with you. Western Ziming replied, I said before that she's my friend. I won't hand her over to you. Boom. Yu Jun gave off an eerie and powerful aura as he quickly grabbed at Western Ziming, and an eerie and cold gale blew out. Western Ziming also gave off a powerful aura and rushed over. The two of them clashed and waves of power continuously spread out, easily shattering the rocks on the ground and making people feel fear. As expected from two shocking geniuses. However, Yujun was a bit stronger and was gradually suppressing Western Zeming. At that moment, Western Zeming's people also gave off powerful auras and rushed over to join the battle. If they did not join, Western Zeming would definitely lose. With the help of his subordinates, Western Zeming's advantage became greater, and he sent Yujun flying with a final punch. Yujun called out savagely, "This prince will remember this and will definitely take revenge in the future." Swish! Yujun turned into a gray ray of light and shot over the horizon, disappearing. He could not defeat Western Zeming, so he naturally would not stay here. He could only run, and Western Zeming did not chase after him. Chapter 30:14. Book 1, Chapter 454. Nyo Chun said, "Thank you." Sin Meng said gently, "You're welcome. I never thought that Nyo who would be such a bastard to give you to someone else." Nyo Chun said angrily, "Nyo who is quite strong, but he's just an idiot. I've already decided to cut off all ties with him, and I don't want to see him again. Even if he dies in front of me, I won't save him." Sin Meng said worriedly, "That Yujun is not to be trifled with. He'll be a hidden danger in the future." Sin Meng nodded seriously. Zhao Fu came up and smiled as he said to Sin Meng, "Don't worry, Ziqing, I'll protect you." Sin Meng gave a sweet smile and nodded. She quite liked what Zhao Fu said. Sin Meng frowned and said, "Apart from looking good, what else are you good for? You're so weak, yet you say you'll protect my little sister?" Now that Zhao Fu had suppressed his cultivation to a very low level, they did not know Zhao Fu's true strength. Zhao Fu explained, "I'll do my best to cultivate for Ziqing." Hearing such mushy words, Sin Meng happily smiled and said, "I believe you." Sin Meng felt even more jealous and angry. "Then cultivate well in the future." Sin Meng turned and left. Sin Meng hurriedly went up to persuade her big sister not to be angry at Zhao Fu. Even though he did not have the strength, it was enough that he had the intention. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and walked behind her, looking quite shameless. Nyo Chun looked at Zhao Fu and the Shiman sisters strangely and did not know what had happened after she had left. That night, the sky was a deep blue, and there were a few stars twinkling. Nyo Chun sat on a hill by herself and thought about how she had felt today, and tears welled up in her eyes. Even though she looked quite ferocious, she was a good person, which could be seen from how she had helped Sin Meng capture Zhao Fu. She didn't do anything during the day and tried her best not to be seen by others. Now that she was alone, she didn't have to hide anymore. Tears flowed out and she grabbed the grass beside her and threw it forward. She and Nyo who had been childhood sweethearts, and their marriage was approved by their parents. Ever since she was young, she treated herself as Nyo Hu's wife and helped Nyo Hu with all sorts of things. Although Nyo Hu was very talented, he wasn't very smart. He needed Nyo Chun's help in many things. However, Nyo Chun was more domineering. It made Nyo Hu feel like he was controlling him. He didn't let him do anything and was often angry at him. This made Nyo Hu very uncomfortable. Nyo Chun thought that she was helping Nyo Hu and thought that she was treating Nyo Hu very well. She didn't expect that Nyo Hu would betray her and give her to someone else. Thinking of this, Nyo Chun became even sadder, and tears streamed down her cheeks. A handkerchief was handed over to her. Nyo Chun turned her head and saw that it was Zhao Fu. Nyo Chun looked at Zhao Fu's perfect face. Although this guy in front of her was a little weak, Nyo Chun couldn't help but admit that Zhao Fu was very good-looking. There was almost no woman who wouldn't be moved by his looks. Nyo Chun took the handkerchief and said, "Thank you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You're welcome." Nyo Chun wiped her tears with the handkerchief. Zhao Fu said gently, "If there's anything unhappy, you'll feel better if you talk about it. You don't have to be sad for people like Nyo Hu. It's not worth it. You're a good woman." Zhao Fu's words were extremely shameless. Didn't he know what kind of person he was? Moreover, his motive for coming here was not simple. After being grabbed by Nyo Chun like that, Zhao Fu immediately wanted to take revenge. He wasn't that kind. Niu Chun nodded and couldn't help but talk about her past with Niu Hu. Zhao Fu listened attentively and said gently, "You love Niu Hu very much, but it's a pity that Niu Hu can't bear it. You chose the wrong person." Niu Chun nodded and said apologetically, "I'm sorry about what happened today. I thought you were a bad person, but I didn't expect you to be a good person." Zhao Fu smiled like the spring sun and said gently, "It's okay. I didn't care about it." Niu Chun smiled and felt much more cheerful. Zhao Fu sighed with some melancholy. Niu Chun asked curiously, "What's wrong?" Zhao Fu looked at Niu Chun affectionately and said, "I'm wondering why I haven't met such a good woman like you." Niu Chun blushed and said in a low voice, "You'll meet one in the future." Zhao Fu reached out and held Niu Chun's hand. Niu Chun blushed and retracted her hand in a fluster. "Don't be like this." Zhao Fu pushed Niu Chun down and looked at her affectionately and said, "I like you. I can swear that I won't let you down." Niu Chun's heart was beating fast and her face was red. "I'm not such a casual woman." Zhao Fu said gently, "Niu Hu has already betrayed you. You don't have to think about him. Now you have to live for yourself." Niu Chun blushed and said softly. At this moment, Niu Hu woke up from the brothel. He looked at the bewitching women on the bed and walked down from the bed. He heard the sounds from the room beside him and pushed open the door. Yu Jun was in the middle of being intimate with a woman. When he saw Niu Hu enter, he smiled and said, "Brother Niu, you're awake?" Niu Hu smiled and said, "Yes, Brother Yu Jun, I won't disturb you anymore. I'm going to look for my wife. She's probably very angry now." Yu Jun smiled and said, "I was about to talk to you about this. Didn't you agree to let your wife accompany me? But your wife is with Siemens Meng. Now, come with me to bring her back." Niu Hu said blankly, "When did I say I would give my wife to you?" Yu Jun smiled and said, "When we were drinking earlier." Niu Hu also told Yu Jun about his wife. Yu Jun gave Niu Hu a suggestion, which was to make Niu Chun jealous and suppress her arrogance. Niu Hu felt that it was a good idea to let Niu Chun see that he had a lot of women. Moreover, he did not resist the temptation. When Niu Chun saw him with the women, she turned around and ran away. Niu Hu regretted it at first, but Yu Jun persuaded him to stay and drink with Yu Jun. When Niu Hu was drunk, Yu Jun saw the beautiful Niu Chun and her fierce look. He was very interested and asked Niu Hu to let Niu Chun accompany him. At that time, Niu Hu agreed to Yu Jun's request without thinking. Now that Niu Hu knew about it, he was regretful and worried. "My wife must be very angry and sad now. I'm going to apologize to her." Although Niu Hu could not stand Niu Chun's fierceness, they had a very deep relationship since they were young. Niu Hu had never thought of giving up on Niu Chun. Niu Hu went out of the brothel and chased in a direction. Yu Jun was a little bored and couldn't help but think of what had happened before. A trace of viciousness appeared on his face. "Cc Zieming, you bitch, you dared to ruin my plans twice. I won't let you off." Chapter 30:15. Book 1, Chapter 455. Zhao Fu. Even though Niu Hu hurriedly chased after them, Siemens Meng and the others had already gone far away, and they were still some distance away from the Western Alliance's headquarters. Niu Hu would not be able to catch up so quickly. Niu Chun's face was red as she lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and looked sweetly at Zhao Fu's face. She found that she had found someone she truly loved. Niu Chun had never experienced such a feeling before. Zhao Fu looked at Niu Chun in his embrace. It had been a few hours, and he had finally taken revenge. However, Zhao Fu had fallen in love with Niu Chun. Niu Chun thought about what had happened between Zhao Fu and Siemens Meng and said softly, "Husband, tell me, what is your relationship with Siemens Meng and Siemens Meng?" Zhao Fu felt quite awkward and had almost forgotten about Siemens Meng. He said, "There's nothing between us, but it seems that they both like me." Niu Chun frowned and said, "But I heard you say that you want to protect them and some other things. Why do I feel that I've let them down?" Zhao Fu said. I don't know how to explain it, but trust me, I truly like you. I definitely won't lie to you about this. Niu Chun's face became red as she hugged Zhao Fu and said, Husband, I trust you. Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. Niu Chun said, But promise me that you won't do anything to hurt the Shimin sisters or make them sad. Zhao Fu smiled and said, No problem. Seeing that it was almost daybreak, Zhao Fu and Niu Chun returned to the group. Niu Chun did not look as sad as before, and she instead looked even more alluring. After daybreak, they continued onwards, as they were about to reach the Western Alliance's headquarters. Siemens Meng and Siemens Meng did not know about Zhao Fu and Niu Chun, and Siemens Qing was still happily by Zhao Fu's side, while Siemens Meng looked slightly jealous. Niu Chun felt quite embarrassed and felt that she had let down the Shimin sisters. Western Alliance's headquarters. Siemens Meng looked at Zhao Fu and said, My sister and I are going to report this. You and Sister Niu Chun can wait here for a while. Zhao Fu said with a smile. All right. Siemens and Meng left. Zhao Fu pulled Niu Chun into his arms. Niu Chun blushed and struggled slightly as she said, Don't be like this. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Don't be afraid. Leave everything to me. Hearing this, Niu Chun thought for a moment and decided to obey Zhao Fu. Half an hour later, Siemens walked into the room with a smile. She looked at Zhao Fu and said, Zijuan, my mother wants to see you. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. He told Siemens that the sisters' names were Siemens Jun. Siemens Qing pulled Zhao Fu and walked out. He didn't care about Niu Chun, whose face was flushed. They came to an exquisite hall, and there sat a beautiful woman with a graceful figure and a noble aura. Her name was Shimin Luoli, and she was the fourth Alliance Master of the Western Alliance. She was slightly more powerful than the other Alliance Masters. Shimin Luoli looked at Zhao Fu's perfect looks and lightly smiled as she said, I've never seen such a good-looking man before. No wonder my daughter likes you so much. I can marry my daughter to you, but it depends on whether you have the qualifications. Zhao Fu asked, What qualifications? Shimin Luoli smiled as she said, I don't need you to have any status. In the future, you'll be marrying into my family, but your talent can't be too bad. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Even though I'm not as outstanding as Miss Siemens Meng, I won't be too bad. Shimin Luoli took out a jade orb that was as big as an egg and said, This jade orb is used to test talent and power. Hold it in my hand. Shimin Luoli threw the jade orb towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu caught the jade orb, and the jade orb immediately absorbed Zhao Fu's power and gave off light. At first, it was white light, then it was gray light, and then it changed a few times before finally becoming a violet light. Shimin Luoli nodded as she said, Even though it can't be considered outstanding, it's not bad. You pass on this. Siemens Meng happily smiled. Siemens Meng looked at Zhao Fu with hidden bitterness. Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, What other requests do you have? Shimin Luoli's expression became serious as she said, Also, I want you to promise that you'll only love my daughter. I know that many women will fall for your face, so I want to plant a restriction in your body. If you fall for another woman, you'll immediately die. How could Zhao Fu agree? He might die in the next second after planting the restriction. He revealed an awkward expression. Shimin Luoli's voice became slightly cold as she said, Since you can't do it, I won't agree to you being with my daughter. Please leave. Siemens Meng hurriedly said, Mother, I want to be with him. Even if he can't focus on me, it's fine as long as he has me in his heart. Shimin Luoli immediately refused. No. Shimin Ziqing begged, Mother. At that moment Zhao Fu said, I'm sorry, I can't focus on loving someone. I originally liked Miss Siemens Meng, but Miss Siemens Meng refused to accept me, so I ended up being with Miss Siemens Meng. Zhao Fu looked at Siemens Meng and said sincerely, I don't just like Miss Siemens Meng. I also like Miss Siemens Meng. I can't focus on one person. Hearing this, Siemens Meng's face became red, and she felt quite flustered but also a sense of sweetness. Shimin Luoli said angrily. Are you trying to say that you want both of my daughters? Zhao Fu said resolutely. That's right, I want both of them. Hearing Zhao Fu's resolute words, Siemens Meng's heart thumped, and a blush appeared on her beautiful face. Siemens Meng liked Zhao Fu even more because she understood that Zhao Fu had liked her big sister first, and it was she who had snatched Zhao Fu away. Since Zhao Fu was willing to admit his feelings, it meant that he was not someone who would quickly fall in love with others. Shimin Luoli looked furious as she said, Scram, or I'll break your legs. Shimin Ziqing cried out, Mother, no. Siemens Meng also said, Mother, don't hurt him. Shimin Luoli looked at Siemens Meng in surprise as she said, Don't tell me that you also like this stinking brat? Siemens Meng's face became slightly red and she nodded seriously. Shimin Luoli said, No, I definitely won't marry my two daughters to him. Moreover, Zimeng, you know that I plan to marry you to that child of origin. Siemens Meng turned to look at Zhao Fu and her little sister and made a decision in her heart. Mother, as long as you promise not to obstruct my little sister and him, I'm willing to marry that child of origin without any complaints. Siemens Meng cried out, Big sister, don't be like this, I know you like him too. Siemens Meng smiled and said, Mother told me about this before and I didn't object. Also, it's impossible for me and him to be together. I hope that you can be happy with him. Chapter 30:16. Book 1, Chapter 456. Revenge. Shimin Luoli said with a headache, You guys can leave first. Let me think about it. The three of them left the hall. Siemens Qing said with tears in her eyes, Big sis. Zhao Fu pretended to be in pain and called out, Zimeng. In actuality, Zhao Fu was the child of origin, and no matter what Siemens Meng chose, she would still be his. Siemens Meng smiled and said, You don't have to be like this. Even though I said that I'm going to marry the child of origin, there are many variables. For example, whether or not the child of origin will come and whether or not the child of origin will like me are all unknown. Perhaps if he doesn't come to the Western Alliance, I won't have to marry him. Siemens Qing smiled and nodded. I also hope that he doesn't come. Siemens Meng looked at Zhao Fu and said, I'm actually quite happy that you admitted your feelings for me today. I'm sorry for saying those things because I was jealous. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I don't mind. Zhao Fu smiled and went up to hug the Shimin sisters. The two sisters' faces were red and they lightly leaned against Zhao Fu's body. Shimin Luoli did not ask Zhao Fu about this matter. After staying in the Western Alliance for 2 days, Zhao Fu could not help but ask about the origin skeleton. To the Western Alliance, Zhao Fu was still an outsider, and the Western Alliance's people were not willing to tell Zhao Fu about such a secret. As such, Zhao Fu could only obtain this information from the Shimin sisters. That night, Zhao Fu looked at the Shimin sisters in his arms. Siemens Meng had sex with Zhao Fu on the first day, and although Siemens Meng did not want to, she could not resist the temptation. Zhao Fu said casually, I heard that the Western Alliance has an origin skeleton. Siemens Meng asked curiously, How do you know about this? Zhao Fu explained, I only heard about it. Origin skeletons are incredibly rare, so I'm quite curious. Siemens Meng chuckled and said, Our Western Alliance does have an origin corpse. It was brought back from some place by our experts a long time ago. Zhao Fu guessed that it was that historical remnant and asked, Where is the origin skeleton now? Siemens Meng replied, Such a precious item would naturally be placed in the most important treasury of the Western Alliance. Zhao Fu asked, How do I enter the treasury? Siemens Meng looked at Zhao Fu suspiciously. Why are you asking so many questions? Are you plotting against the origin corpse? Zhao Fu hurriedly explained, I wouldn't dare. You can't even defeat him now. Even if I obtained such a precious item, it would be useless. Siemens Meng said with a smile, In truth, the essence skeleton is useless to us, and we wouldn't dare to do anything to it. If the origin race comes, the Western Alliance will face a great crisis. Zhao Fu nodded and did not continue to ask. Siemens Meng smiled and said, "Big sis, let's take our husband around to have some fun. He's been staying here for so long and feels quite bored. Big sis Nyo Chun is the same." They did not know that Zhao Fu and Nyo Chun were not bored and often had things to do. Siemens Meng thought about it and said, "That's fine, we'll take them around tomorrow." The next day, the weather was bright and sunny. Siemens Meng and her sister brought Zhao Fu and Nyo Chun out. Nyo Chun had continuously nourished herself over the past few days and had become incredibly beautiful, making the Shimen sisters feel quite envious. At that moment, Nyo Hu appeared in front of everyone and happily called out, "Wife." Nyo Chun stood next to Zhao Fu and looked quite shy. Seeing Nyo Hu, her expression became cold as she said, "Why are you here?" Nyo Hu gave a silly smile as he said, "I'm sorry, wife, I know I was wrong. I came here to apologize to you. It's not good enough to forgive me." Nyo Chun's expression was quite complicated. If Nyo Hu had directly come out to apologize, she might have been able to forgive Nyo Hu. However, that bastard Nyo Hu had given her to someone else, so Nyo Chun decided that she would not forgive Nyo Hu. Moreover, she loved Zhao Fu more. Seeing Nyo Hu, Siemens Meng looked quite angry. "You gave big sis Nyo Chun to someone else. How do you still have the face to come here?" Nyo Hu explained, "I was drunk at that time and didn't know anything. I definitely wouldn't give my wife to someone else. I can promise that my wife will forgive me this time, alright?" Nyo Hu looked at Nyo Chun hopefully. The Shimen sisters also looked at Nyo Chun. Although they did not want Nyo Chun to leave with Nyo Hu, they could not make the decision for Nyo Chun. Nyo Chun thought about the memories she had with Nyo Hu when they were young, and her heart wavered. However, when she thought about the ridiculous things she had done with Zhao Fu, she blushed and made a decision, saying, "Go back! I'm not your wife anymore." Nyo Hu cried out with a sad expression, "Wife, I don't want to." Nyo Chun looked at Zhao Fu affectionately, then turned to look at Nyo Hu and said, "I've already said it once, and I don't want to say it again." Nyo Hu looked at Nyo Chun with tears streaming down his face. Siemens Meng said, "Let's go." He brought this upon himself. Nyo Chun looked at Nyo Hu and felt quite sad, but she still steeled her heart and left with Siemens Meng. Nyo Hu did not follow. He felt that his wife was just angry at him. Perhaps if he came back in a few days, his wife would forgive him. Siemens Meng brought Zhao Fu and walked on the street. Everyone looked at Zhao Fu. No matter if they were men or women, young or old, they had never seen such a good-looking man. They could only see that he had looks that could only be found in the celestial world. Facing everyone's gazes, the three women finally understood why Zhao Fu was wearing a cloak. Siemens Meng said with some jealousy, "Husband, do you want to keep wearing the cloak?" Siemens Meng said, "Forget it, he's our man now, and it's not good to hide it. Instead, it will cause other people to misunderstand. Moreover, with such a good-looking husband, it's quite good for us." Siemens Meng smiled and nodded. Nyo Chun's face became slightly red as she looked at Zhao Fu's face. She had to admit that she had been willing to give Zhao Fu face back then. News about Zhao Fu quickly spread, and everyone came over to take a look out of curiosity, crying out in amazement. Shimen Luoli also heard about this and slightly frowned. She was somewhat worried that Zhao Fu's perfect looks would attract unnecessary trouble. As for what had happened between her daughter and Zhao Fu, she did not want to care about it anymore. After all, she knew that Zhao Fu had already done it with her two daughters, and she had personally seen it happen. Thinking about that, Shimen Luoli's face became slightly red. Zhao Fu did not care about this. What he cared about was how to obtain the origin bones. Even though Siemens Meng had not told him about the treasury, Zhao Fu had found out about it through other methods. The treasury was located in the Western Alliance's headquarters, and one needed the medallions of the 12 Alliance Masters to open it. Chapter 30:17. Book 1, Chapter 457. Battle formation. Zhao Fu had no choice but to make a sacrifice. The night breeze blew gently in the starry night sky. The green bamboos in the courtyard swayed gently and made rustling sounds, accompanied by some strange sounds. Shimin Luoli glared at Zhao Fu, who was in the courtyard, before returning to her room. Thinking about the scene from before, Shimin Luoli felt quite restless. She lay on her bed and prepared to sleep, but the scene from before still appeared in her mind. Shimin Luoli's face became red. After an hour, Shimin Luoli still did not feel sleepy and was still thinking about what had just happened. At that moment, Zhao Fu quietly walked in. The sky was turning white, and the crisp cries of birds could be heard outside the window. Shimin Luoli rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu and said, "It's already morning, why aren't you going back?" Zhao Fu looked at Shimin Luoli in his embrace and said, "Can't I go back later?" Shimin Luoli said angrily, "I knew that you didn't have good intentions. You were so against me planting the restriction in your body, you're just a playboy. It's a pity that my 2 daughters were tricked by you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Don't say that, I treated them sincerely and will not let them down." "Of course, I will not let you down." Shimin Luoli's expression warmed up and she felt quite happy. She said softly, "Hurry up and go back. I don't want my 2 daughters to know about this." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded, "Then we'll see each other tomorrow night?" Shimin Luoli's face became red but she still nodded. Zhao Fu worked hard for a few more days and stealthily took Shimin Luoli's command medallion. Shimin Luoli had not discovered this, as there were many Alliance Master Command medallions. After obtaining one Alliance Master Command medallion, Zhao Fu thought about how to obtain a second one. At that moment, a fiery figure and beautiful woman wearing a fiery palace dress came to Siemens Meng's house. She was called Shimin Mei and was one of the Alliance Masters. Seeing her, Shimin Luoli knew that Shimin Mei was up to no good and asked, "Why did you suddenly come to my house?" Shimin Mei said with a smile, "Can't I come if there's nothing?" Shimin Luoli smiled and said, "I don't believe that you would come here for no reason. Speak, what is it?" Shimin Mei smiled as she said, "It's nothing much. I just heard that a devastatingly beautiful man came to your place, so I came to see if he's as exaggerated as the rumors say." Shimin Luoli warned, "He's my son-in-law. You can't mess around." After saying this, Shimin Luoli thought back to the scenes of the past few days, and her face blushed. His heart was also beating faster. Shimin Mei smiled and said, "Don't worry. I just came to take a look." Shimin Luoli then called Zhao Fu over. When Shimin Mei saw Zhao Fu walk in, she was completely dumbfounded, and a blush appeared on her face. She had never thought that there would be such a handsome man in this world. Zhao Fu was a little puzzled. Why was he looking for her? Shimin Luoli introduced, "She's the 6th Alliance Master, Shimin Mei." Zhao Fu bowed and said, "I pay my respects to the Alliance Master." At that moment, Shimin Mei came back to her senses and grabbed Zhao Fu's hands as she passionately said to Zhao Fu, "There's no need to be so courteous. Luoli and I have a good relationship, and I watched Zimeng and Zicheng grow up. In the future, we'll all be family." Seeing Shimin Mei passionately look at him, Zhao Fu understood what she was thinking. However, on the surface, Zhao Fu still acted like a gentleman. Shimin Luoli could not take it anymore and called out, "Shimin Mei." Shimin Mei reluctantly let go of Zhao Fu and smiled as she said, "I've lived for so long, but it's the first time I've seen someone as handsome as you. Where are you from?" Zhao Fu replied, "I grew up without parents and wandered everywhere. Fortunately, I met Zicheng and Zimeng, which was how I came to the Western Alliance." Shimin Mei said with a pitiful expression, "You're so pitiful. Don't be afraid in the future. I'll take care of you. In the future, you can call me Auntie." Hearing this, Zhao Fu looked at Shimin Luoli. Shimin Luoli thought that she would be of help to Zhao Fu, and seeing that Zhao Fu wanted to ask her for her opinion, she felt quite at ease with Zhao Fu and nodded. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Auntie." Shimin Mei happily smiled as she said, All right, all right, all right. When will you come to my place to play? At that moment, Shimin Luoli said, Zijuan has things to do here and can't go to your place. Shimin Mei said disappointedly, All right then. If you have time in the future, you can come to my place to play. I'll welcome you anytime. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. After chatting for a while, Shimin Mei saw that she could not see Zhao Fu, so she left for now. At noon, Shimin Luoli said that she had things to do, and Zhao Fu wanted to take this opportunity to ask about the other alliance masters so that he could collect command medallions. However, not too long after he came out, a figure appeared beside Zhao Fu and grabbed Zhao Fu before disappearing. Facing this power, Zhao Fu could not resist at all, which meant that this person was incredibly powerful and was at least a higher being. Zhao Fu was thrown onto a patch of grass, and before he could react, a figure leapt over. The sun set. Shimin Mei gave a pleased smile as she hugged Zhao Fu and said, You've given me such a pleasant surprise. Not only are you so good-looking, but you're also quite talented in this area. I love you to death. Zhao Fu pretended to be sad as he said, I'm letting down Ziming and Ziqing. Shimin Mei lightly laughed as she said, What's so good about those sisters? Do they know how to take care of men? Are they any better than me? I'll give you whatever you want. Moreover, as long as you and I don't say anything, how will they know? Zhao Fu looked as if this was the only way. Shimin Mei hooked up Zhao Fu's chin and smiled as she said, In the future, when I call for you, come out and keep me company. Zhao Fu nodded and asked, I want one of your command medallions. Would you be able to give it to me? Shimin Mei did not even think as she took out a command medallion and smiled as she said, Here. Zhao Fu smiled in delight as he said, Thank you. Shimin Mei smiled as she said, In the future, listen to me. Let alone a command medallion, I'll even give you something precious. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Got it. Shimin Mei said, All right, it's getting late. Hurry and go back in case Shimin Luoli discovers something. If she finds out about me and you, she'll definitely come to settle the score with me. Zhao Fu nodded. The two of them left as if nothing had happened. Zhao Fu looked at the command medallion in his hand. This was his second command medallion, and he was 10 more command medallions away from opening the treasury. He felt that it would be quite easy. After returning to their residence, Shimin Luoli did not discover anything. Siemens Meng felt quite curious and asked Zhao Fu where he had been and why she did not see Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gave a random reason and started to plan to obtain other command medallions. Chapter 30:18 Book 1, Chapter 458 Another 2 days passed, and Zhao Fu took the ruddy-faced Niu Chun to do something. Niu Hu ran over and called out, Wife, have you forgiven me? Niu Hu thought that Niu Chun would forgive him after such a long time, but Niu Chun looked at him and said somewhat angrily, Why are you still here? Didn't I say that it had nothing to do with you? After 2 days, Niu Chun and Zhao Fu became even closer, and they would often talk when they had nothing to do. Niu Hu said with a sad face, Wife, I was really wrong. Please forgive me this time, okay? Niu Chun did not want to bother with Niu Hu anymore, so she pulled Zhao Fu's hand and said, Let's go. Seeing this, Niu Hu pointed at Zhao Fu and shouted angrily, Who is this man? Niu Chun lightly snorted, It's none of your business who he is. Anyway, I will definitely not be with you. You should be happier without me around, and you can do whatever you want. After saying this, Niu Chun pulled Zhao Fu and walked to the side. Niu Hu stood there and cried. At that moment, he felt that his wife was really not coming back. Thinking of this, Niu Hu felt sad and regretful, and in the end, he could only leave. Niu Chun blushed as she looked at Zhao Fu. This was the first time that she had acted so intimately in front of everyone. Previously, they had always been sneaky. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at Niu Chun, which made Niu Chun feel somewhat sweet. After walking for a while, Niu Chun asked, Where are we going? Zhao Fu said, I want to take you for a walk. Actually, Zhao Fu's true goal was to take this opportunity to gather information about the other alliance masters and find a way to obtain the token. Niu Chun said with a red face, "Aren't you afraid that Zimeng and Ziqing will find out?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "If they find out, then so be it. I think it's time for our relationship to be made public." Niu Chun said with a red face, "No, I'm afraid that I won't be able to face them in the future." Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "Whatever." At this moment, a nobleman with a few beautiful women blocked in front of Zhao Fu. He stared at Niu Chun, who was beside Zhao Fu, and said with a smile, "I've never played with a woman from the Empyrean ox-beast race before. Name a price. Just once will do." Niu Chun said with a cold face, "Get lost." The young master was not angry and lightly laughed as he said, "You might not know who I am, but I am the son of the Third Alliance Master. My name is Shimen Qing, and I believe that every woman has a price. As long as I can afford it, you will naturally agree. If I cannot afford it, you will not agree. You're a venerated long-horn bull. Tell me your price, and I'll do my best to satisfy you." Niu Chun shouted angrily, "Are you going to scram or not?" Niu Chun said as he prepared to attack. Zhao Fu pulled her back and asked with a smile, "What's your price?" Shimen Qing looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Who are you to her? Can you make the decision for her?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "She's my woman, so of course I can make the decision." Hearing Zhao Fu acknowledge her, Niu Chun felt somewhat happy in her heart. At the same time, she looked at Zhao Fu in confusion and did not know what Zhao Fu wanted to do. Shimen Qing smiled and said, "What do you want? Wealth, treasures, power, and status?" Zhao Fu said, "I want the Third Alliance Master's Command token." Shimen Qing lightly laughed and said, "Just this? Are you sure? I don't think it's worth it. She's from the Empyrean Ox-Beast clan, and her bloodline should be at the half-sage level." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "As long as you give me the command token, I'll give her to you. I think it's worth it." Hearing these words, Niu Chun did not feel angry. She did not believe that Zhao Fu would give her away like that. Shimen Qing smiled and said, "All right, but I don't have it right now. Can you come back with me?" Zhao Fu nodded. The group arrived at Shimen Qing's luxurious and spacious home. A voluptuous and beautiful woman walked out and looked at Shimen Qing strangely as she said, "Why did you come back so quickly?" Shimen Qing smiled and said, "Didn't I miss you?" The woman's face turned red. She was Shimen Qing's cousin-in-law, and her name was Shimen Lian. She rolled her eyes at Shimen Qing but did not get angry. It was evident that their relationship was not simple. At that moment, Shimen Lian turned to look at Zhao Fu behind her and was instantly attracted by Zhao Fu. She looked enchanted and her face became red. Shimen Qing did not mind. He had paid a great price to obtain Shimen Lian, but he wanted Niu Chun even more. He had a plan in his heart, a plan to obtain Niu Chun forever. Shimen Lian came back to her senses and asked embarrassedly, "This is?" Shimen Qing smiled and said, "This is a friend of mine. I brought him to my place to play." Shimen Lian looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Oh." Shimen Qing smiled and said to Zhao Fu, "Let's go." Zhao Fu nodded. They came to a living room and Shimen Qing smiled and said, "Wait here for a while. I'll be back soon." Zhao Fu and Niu Chun sat on chairs. Shimen Qing had people bring over some tea and dessert. Zhao Fu waited where he was, thinking about how to deal with this matter. Niu Chun looked around and did not do anything as she sat on a chair. Shimen Lian smiled as she sat next to Zhao Fu and said, "Sir, please have some tea." Niu Chun felt quite uncomfortable looking at Shimen Lian. She did not like women like this. They were obviously fickle and frivolous. Zhao Fu nodded and drank a mouthful of tea. He found that there was something off about this tea. It had a stimulating effect, and it was quite powerful. Even higher beings might not be able to resist it. However, with Zhao Fu's terrifying constitution, he was almost immune to this kind of medicine. Zhao Fu did not know what Shimenqing was planning, so he pretended to be drowsy. His face was completely red. Seeing Zhao Fu act like this, Shimen Lian gave a happy smile. Niu Chun felt quite startled and cried out, "What did you do to him?" Shimen Lian flirtatiously smiled as she said, "He's mine now, and you won't be able to escape either." Just as Shimen Lian finished speaking, Niu Chun's face immediately became bright red and she felt powerless. She looked at the tea and desserts and immediately understood what was going on. However, it was too late, and her body powerlessly fell to the ground. Shimen Lian smiled as she said, "It's done, come in." Shimenqing smiled as he walked in. Looking at the peerlessly beautiful Niu Chun, he evilly laughed as he said, "How could one time be enough for such an exquisite beauty? I want to have her forever, ha ha ha." Shimen Lian laughed as she said, "She's yours, so this man is mine." Shimenqing looked at Shimen Lian and lightly laughed as he said, "I paid a great price to obtain you in the past. Why are you throwing yourself into my arms?" Shimen Lian looked at Zhao Fu and said, "I've never seen such a perfect man before. I like him a lot and want to have him." Shimenqing smiled as he said, "All right, take him away. However, you have to cripple his cultivation and make it so that he can never cultivate again. I don't want anything to go wrong." Chapter 30-19. Book 1, Chapter 459. Death. Shimen Lian nodded, "I naturally know this. After all, this is not a glorious thing, and they seem to have simple backgrounds." Shimenqing looked at Niu Chun, who was writhing on the ground, and said, "I think it's worth it to take such a big risk to obtain such an exquisite beauty." Niu Chun had already lost consciousness. At that moment Shimenqing said, "Bring her to my room." The beautiful women beside him prepared to go up and carry Niu Chun to Shimenqing's room. Suddenly, a powerful evil power flowed out, and many pale white roots grew out of the ground. Shimenqing and Shimen Lian felt quite startled, and before they could react, their bodies were bound by the root. Shimenqing stared at Zhao Fu in shock as he asked, "How is this possible?" He had used celestial domain bewitching water, which was said to be effective against celestials and was incredibly precious. If it wasn't for Niu Chun being so tempting, he might not have used such a precious thing. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "This thing has no effect on me." Shimenqing hurriedly said, "I can give you the command medallion, and I don't want her. Can you let me go this time?" Shimen Lian's face was pale as she said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have listened to him. However, I like you too much, so I did this." Zhao Fu looked at her and said, "I like you too." This caused Shimen Lian to feel quite startled. The pale white roots loosened and Zhao Fu hugged Shimen Lian. Shimen Lian looked quite happy as she hugged Zhao Fu and said coquettishly, "Why didn't you say so earlier? I was so scared." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "If I had said so earlier, I wouldn't have been able to catch you." Seeing this, Shimenqing hurriedly smiled and said, "I apologize for what happened before. My cousin-in-law is yours from now on." Zhao Fu looked at Shimenqing and said, But I won't let you off either." Shimenqing felt quite startled. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a wave of evil gray energy and blood-red energy continuously flowed into Shimenqing's body. Shimenqing struggled in terror, but he gradually stopped moving. Shimen Lian looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "What did you do to him?" "He's the Third Alliance Master's son. If something happens to her son, the consequences will be dire." Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "You don't have to worry about this." Looking at Zhao Fu's confident expression, Shimen Lian smiled and nodded, and a few beautiful women who were tied up by the side pleaded, "Sir, can you let us go? We are all pitiful women who were harmed by Shimenqing." Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "That depends on your performance." With that, Zhao Fu let go of them. After an unknown amount of time, Niu Chun woke up with a start. Seeing that she was not wearing any clothes, her heart was in pain, and tears were about to flow out. When she turned her head to the side, she breathed a sigh of relief. Zhao Fu was hugging a group of women and lying on the side. Among them was Shimin Lian and the 4 beautiful women beside Shimin Qing. Niu Chun was a little angry and pinched Zhao Fu's arm. "Wake up!" Zhao Fu opened his eyes and smiled as he asked Niu Chun, "What's wrong?" Niu Chun rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu and asked, "What happened when I fainted?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, Nothing happened. I just successfully counterattacked and subdued Shimin Qing." Niu Chun looked at the women beside Zhao Fu and asked with jealousy, "What's wrong with them?" Zhao Fu helplessly smiled and explained, "You should understand the effects of that medicine." Niu Chun's face turned red. "I won't blame you this time. What do we plan to do next?" Zhao Fu said, "Since you're awake, let's leave this place." Niu Chun asked, "What are you going to do with Shimin Qing?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Don't worry about it, I'll handle it." Niu Chun trusted Zhao Fu and lightly nodded. Following this, the two of them walked out of Shimin Qing's house and returned to Shimin Luoli's house, as if nothing had happened. A tall woman with a cold face and a serious and old-fashioned temperament returned. She was Shimin Qing's mother, Shimin Yan. Just as Shimin Yan returned, she cried and said to Shimin Lian, "Something happened to Lil Qing." Shimin Yan slightly frowned and asked, "What happened?" Shimin Lian said, "After Lil Qing went out today, he fainted. I don't know what happened and I couldn't wake him up." Shimin Yan said, "Take me to him." Shimin Lian brought Shimin Yan to the room, and Shimin Yan saw her son lying on the bed with a pained expression. Shimin Yan hurriedly went up to take a look and grabbed Shimin Qing's hand. She sent a wave of power into it, and she felt a blood-red tree monster pouncing towards her. Shimin Yan felt quite startled and quickly retracted her hand. Shimin Lian asked concernedly, "What's wrong?" Right now, she was actually quite worried because she knew that Shimin Yan's power was simply too great. It was possible that she could remove the restriction that Zhao Fu had left in Shimin Qing's body. If the restriction was removed, the matter between her and Zhao Fu would be exposed. Shimin Yan said with a serious expression, "There's an extremely terrifying power within Lil Qing's body, and it's that power that caused Lil Qing to be in so much pain that he fainted." Shimin Lian asked, "Auntie, do you have a way to deal with it?" Shimin Yan said seriously, "I'm not sure, but this power is extremely terrifying. I can only give it a try." Shimin Lian inwardly let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that Zhao Fu was quite capable to make things so difficult for Shimin Yan. She said worriedly, "Auntie, hurry and give it a try." Shimin Yan nodded her head. Shimin Yan stretched out a hand and placed it on Shimin Qing's head, and a powerful power was released. A purple power spread out and continuously flowed into Shimin Qing's body. After this power flowed into Shimin Qing's body, it flowed towards the tree monster within Shimin Qing's body, wanting to destroy it. Boom! A muffled explosion sounded out as the tree monster was easily killed, turning into countless traces of gray aura and dissipating. It was dealt with so easily? Shimin Yan's expression was quite strange, and she retracted her hand. However, in the next second, Shimin Qing screamed miserably, as if something was about to drill out. It was a pale white rhizome. Shimin Yan's expression fell, and she once again placed her hand on Shimin Qing's head, sending a wave of power into it. She found that the tree monster had become much larger than before, as if it had fused with Shimin Qing's life force. If she attacked the tree monster, Shimin Qing would also die. What kind of power is this? Shimin Yan looked quite confused. Even with Shimin Yan's great power, she was unable to get rid of this power. After all, this was a fusion of Zhao Fu's Abyss Flower and Evil Immortal's power, as well as a trace of Source Blood. This made it so that Shimin Yan's power was useless. Unless she could obtain Source Energy or Source Blood, she would not be able to get rid of that power. Chapter 30-20. Book 1, Chapter 460. Battle. Shimin Yan's expression was quite unsightly as she said, "Where did little Qing go today?" Shimin Lian said, "I'm not sure. The four beautiful women beside Shimin Qing said, "Sir didn't go there. He just walked around and came back." Shimin Lian asked caringly, "Auntie, do you have a way to save little Qing?" Shimin Yen shook her head. "No, the power within little Qing's body is extremely strange and terrifying. It's a high-level power that I control. It seems that little Qing offended someone he shouldn't have." Shimin Lian completely relaxed and asked, "Auntie, what do you plan to do?" Shimin Yen sighed as she said, "I don't know either." Art. At that moment, a pitiful cry sounded out as Shimin Qing struggled in pain. Shimin Yan's heart ached, but she was powerless to help, making her feel quite terrible. Suddenly, a little bird made of paper flew in and stopped in front of Shimin Yan. Shimin Yan's expression was cold as she looked at the little bird. She knew that it had to do with her son, so she took the little bird and opened it. On it was written, "If you want your son to be fine, seal your cultivation and come to the east side of the lake." Looking at these words, Shimin Yan let out a sigh of relief. Luckily, there was a way to resolve this. According to the agreement, Shimin Yan came to the agreed place. The lake was calm, and there were many green willow trees by the shore. An ordinary-looking young man walked over and smiled as he said, "You're here." Shimin Yan said coldly, "What's your goal?" The young man smiled as he said, "It was your son who offended me first, so I taught him a lesson." Shimin Yan said, "Then what will it take for you to let my son go?" The young man gave a trace of an evil smile as he walked over to Shimin Yan. Shimin Yan's expression was cold as she watched the young man walk over to her side. He suddenly acted, and a powerful energy locked the young man in place. Shimin Yan said coldly, "As long as you let my son go, I'll let you go." The young man calmly smiled as he said, "You broke the agreement. Aren't you afraid that I'll do something to your son?" Shimin Yan coldly laughed as she said, "I can already sense the power within your body. You're the one who left the power within my son's body." The young man had a strange smile on his face as he looked straight at Shimin Yan. His body began to transform into countless pieces of flesh and blood. The young man's voice rang out in the surroundings. "Looks like I'm going to teach you a lesson." Shimin Yan was startled. "Don't, I'll promise you anything." At this moment, Shimin Yan finally felt the strangeness of this man. Her strength was actually unable to catch that man, and now, she could only agree to that man's request. The young man said, "First seal your power." Shimin Yan immediately sealed her own power. Even if she wanted to break the seal, she would need a period of time. The youth continued, "Cover your eyes with a piece of cloth." Hearing this, Shimin Yan took out a white cloth and covered her eyes. She said coldly, "What else do you want?" Clang clang. 2 sounds of chains rang out, pulling Shimin Yan's fair hands upwards. Shimin Yan also saw a person appear behind her. After a few hours, Shimin Yan powerlessly fell to the ground and said coldly, "Can you let my son go now?" Zhao Fu handed a pill to Shimin Yan and said, "This pill can alleviate your son's pain. Come here again tomorrow, just like before." Shimin Yan said angrily, "Don't go too far." Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and pinched Shimin Yan's chin as he said, "So what if I go too far? Your son asked for it. If you don't behave yourself, I won't even give you this pill." Shimin Yan hurriedly said, "Don't, give me the pill and I'll listen to you." Zhao Fu satisfyingly handed the pill to Shimin Yan. After Shimin Yan took it, Zhao Fu disappeared. After a while, Shimin Yan pulled off the cloth that covered her eyes. Seeing that there was no one around, the night wind caused her to feel a trace of coldness. Shimin Yan coldly harumphed, took the pill, and left. After returning home, Shimin Lian looked at Shimin Yan's rosy face and flirtatious temperament. She inwardly smiled, knowing that this old-fashioned and strict aunt of hers had been ravaged by that person. Shimin Yan did not say anything and went to Shimin Qing's room. Seeing her son's pained expression, she immediately took out the pill and fed it to Shimin Qing. Shimin Qing immediately felt less pain and fell into a deep sleep. Seeing this, Shimin Yen let out a sigh of relief. Thinking about today's matters, Shimin Yen felt quite complicated, and she felt somewhat humiliated. Zhao Fu returned to Shimin Luoli's home with a smile on his face. He took Shimin Yan's storage ring, which contained not only the command medallion that Zhao Fu wanted, but also all sorts of treasures. In order to prevent his plan from being leaked and Shimin Yen not guessing that he wanted the command medallion, Zhao Fu had taken away her storage ring. The next day, Shimin Yen returned to her original place and sealed her power. She covered her eyes with a white cloth, and the sound of 2 chains rang out, binding her hands. Zhao Fu smiled as he appeared behind her. 2 hours later, Zhao Fu ravaged Shimin Yen as he asked, "I want to know about the other alliance masters." Shimin Yan's expression changed. "Your goal isn't just me?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Of course." Shimin Yen said furiously, "I won't betray the alliance. If you have the ability, kill me now. After seeing you like this, I don't want to live anymore." Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Is that so? But your body doesn't think that way." After another 3 hours, Zhao Fu received information about the other alliance masters. He looked at Shimin Yen, who was lying on the ground powerlessly, and stretched out a hand as he said, "Here, this is the pill for your son today. Come again tomorrow." Shimin Yen took the pill from Zhao Fu and did not say anything. On the 3rd day, Shimin Yen came again. Zhao Fu did not say anything, and after ravaging her, he handed her a crystal bottle and said, "Put this in the 7th, 8th, and 9th Alliance Master's tea." Shimin Yen gasped as she asked, "What is this?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "This is something I obtained from your son." Shimin Yen felt quite startled. "Celestial Domain Spirit Confusion Water?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Shimin Yen directly said, "No, I definitely won't agree." Zhao Fu gave a bad smile as he said, "If you don't agree, not only will your son die in pain, but I'll also make your matters public. I'll also tell them that you betrayed them. Let's see what you'll do then." Shimin Yen said furiously, "You're despicable and shameless." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm just like that. If you were obedient, none of this would have happened." Chapter 30-21. Volume 1, Chapter 461, Chaos. Zhao Fu threw the crystal bottle to Shimin Yen. There was not much celestial domain bewitching spirit water left, and it was only enough for 3 people. As such, Zhao Fu decided to target the 78 to 9 Alliance Master. According to the information he had, the 3 of them had the best relationship and often played together, making it convenient for him to target them. With Shimin Yan's help, things would be much simpler. Shimin Yen was also thinking about how to deal with them. She did not want to expose herself, nor did she want the 3 Alliance Masters to know that she had done this. In a place where flowers were blooming, 3 couples were playing and laughing. The man was handsome and the woman was beautiful, making people feel quite envious. She was called Shimin Tian, and she had a graceful figure and a sweet-looking face. She was wearing a pink dress, and she happily plucked flowers and made a garland of flowers to wear on her head. Next to her was a white-clothed, elegant-looking man called Dongfang Qin. He was originally from the Eastern Alliance, and had joined the Western Alliance because he had fallen in love with Shimin Tian. Dongfang Qin laughed exaggeratedly as he said, "Wife, you're so pretty." Shimin Tian's face became red and she said sweetly, "I'll make one for you too." A tall man called Ku Luo smiled as he said to a beautiful woman with a bewitching figure, "Wife, I want you to make one for me too." The woman was called Shimin Mei, and she was the 7th Alliance Master. She rolled her eyes at Ku Luo and said, "If you want one, make one yourself." Ku Luo laughed as he said, "Look, 9th sister made one." Shimin Mei breathed out and said, "Forget it, I'll make one for you too." Ku Luo went up and hugged Shimin Mei as he said, "Thank you, wife." Shimin Mei's face became slightly red, and she gave a trace of a smile. The last couple was a man and a woman with a scholarly aura. The man was called Shu Luo and the woman was called Shimin Shur. The two of them walked at the back and gave faint smiles as they admired the beautiful scenery around them. At that moment, just as Shimin Tian was about to pluck a flower, the flower gave off a white aura. Shimin Tian breathed it in, causing her body to become powerless. Dongfang Qin looked quite surprised and asked, "What is it, wife?" Shimin Tian said powerlessly, "Just then, I breathed in a white aura and felt that I had no strength at all." Dongfang Qin's face changed, and he quickly checked Shimin Tian's body. "Not good, my wife has been poisoned by a strange poison." Hearing that, the others also walked over. Shimin Mei said, "Let me take a look." As the leader of the alliance, Shimin Mei was much stronger than Dongfang Qin. Shimin Mei placed one hand on Shimin Tian, and Shimin Tian immediately emitted a white aura that drilled into Shimin Mei's body. The speed was so fast that no one could react. Shimin Mei's body also became powerless, and she said with a panicked expression, "We've fallen into a trap. Hurry and leave." Boom! A huge explosion sounded out, and the entire flower field emitted countless rainbow-colored auras, surging towards everyone like a tide. The sound was extremely shocking. Everyone hurriedly used their power to defend and unleashed a massive defensive barrier to protect everyone. The rainbow-colored aura continuously attacked the defensive barrier, causing it to tremble. Shimin Shur's complexion changed. "There is an array formation here. Hurry up and inform the other alliance masters. I will stay here to protect them." Ku Luo cried out, "I will not abandon my wife." Shimin Mei looked incredibly moved. Only in times of crisis could one see true feelings. Shu Luo looked around and said seriously, "I'm afraid that with our strength, we will not be able to escape from here." Dongfang Qin nodded. "If we rush out, we will immediately be submerged by these auras. I think it's better for Eighth Sister to call for help. The three of us will stay here." Shimin Shur nodded. "You must hold on, I will be back soon." Shu Luo gently reminded her, "Wife, you should be careful too." Shimin Shur smiled and nodded. She did not waste any time and turned into a ray of light as she flew to the side. Countless rainbow-colored auras flowed towards her, but Shimin Shur unleashed a defensive barrier, blocking them. Shimin Shur's expression was quite serious. She did not know what had happened, but for the Alliance Masters to be in danger, it was definitely something big, and she had to hurry back. Suddenly, a white aura ignored Shimin Shur's defensive barrier and directly drilled into her body. Shimin Shur's expression changed, and she fell from the air, her body's power disappearing. Shimin Yen appeared in the distance and sighed. This time, her target was the three Alliance Masters, but she never thought that their men would also come out. As such, she could only change her plans. Shimin Yen looked at the defensive barrier that the three men were bitterly defending and stretched out a hand. A massive wave of shocking power slammed against the barrier, immediately shattering it. Countless rainbow-colored auras flowed into the three men's bodies, causing them to quickly fall unconscious. After doing this, Shimin Yen guiltily looked at the three Alliance Masters before turning into a ray of light and disappearing. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he appeared next to Shimin Shur. Shimin Shur had completely fallen unconscious, and Zhao Fu squatted down and picked her up. He came to the three Alliance Masters' side and gave an evil smile. One day later, the three women slowly woke up and sensed something. Their expressions changed as they sat up from the ground. Looking at their current appearances, their faces were incredibly pale. Shimin Mei cried out furiously, "It's that bastard, I'm going to kill him." Shimin Tian cried out softly. Shimin Shur sighed and said, "Don't cry so loudly, you're just trying to wake up our men and let them see what we look like." Shimin Mei said angrily, "I just want to chop that bastard into pieces and let him taste all kinds of pain." Shimin Shur said, "But we don't know who that man is, but I vaguely remember being humiliated by that man." Hearing this, some scenes appeared in the other two's minds, and they felt that they had been humiliated. Shimin Tian was even more heartbroken. She felt that she had betrayed Dongfang Qin. Shimin Mei gritted her teeth and clenched her fist. At this moment, Shimin Shi said, "Did your storage rings disappear?" The two nodded. Shimin Shi thought for a moment. "Although we lost some things and were humiliated by that bastard, fortunately, we and our men were not harmed. If that person wanted to kill us, we would not have been able to resist at all. Since things have already happened, let's just let it go." Shimin Mei said coldly, "I can't let this matter go. I must find that guy and make him regret being born in this world." Shimin Tian said aggrievedly, "I don't know how to face my husband in the future." Shimin Shi fell silent, not knowing what to do next. Chapter 30-22. Book 1, Chapter 462, Book 2. After a while, Dongfang Qin and the other two woke up and looked at Shimin Mei and the others as they asked, "What happened?" Shimin Mei said with a gloomy expression, "Nothing." Ku Luo frowned. "Did eighth sister call someone to save us?" Shimin Shi thought about it. "I didn't, the formation was suddenly lifted, so I came back to save everyone." Dongfang Qin smiled as he said, "It's good that nothing happened. Let's go back." Everyone nodded. At night, the moonlight was like water, and Shimin Shi sat in front of the window, looking a bit melancholic. Shu Luo asked in concern, "What's wrong?" Shimin Shi looked at Shu Luo and wondered if she should tell her husband about this. If he knew, he would definitely feel bad. Even though he would not abandon her, there would still be a big gap between them. Shimin Shi shook her head. Shu Luo smiled as he said, "Don't think too much, go to sleep." Shimin Shi forced a smile and said, "Okay, I got it. You should go to bed early." In another room, Ku Luo smiled as he hugged Shimin Mei from behind and said ambiguously, "Wife, we should sleep." Shimin Mei struggled free and said, "Go to sleep." Ku Luo asked curiously, "What's wrong?" Shimin Mei felt estranged, and thinking about how she had been humiliated next to her husband, she could not face Ku Luo. Shimin Mei said, "It's nothing, I'm just a bit unhappy." Ku Luo smiled as he went up and hugged Shimin Mei. "Then husband will let you be happy." Shimin Mei immediately struggled free and said angrily, "I told you to go to sleep, didn't you hear me?" Ku Luo looked at Shimin Mei, not knowing what was going on. Didn't Shimin Mei usually like this? Seeing that Shimin Mei was really angry, Ku Luo could only obediently go to sleep. Shimin Tian sat by herself in the courtyard, feeling sad, and she hid from Dongfang Qin. Suddenly, 3 paper birds flew in front of the 3 of them, and the 3 of them took them apart and said, "Come to the flower field today, or I'll make this public." The paper turned into countless motes of light and spread out, and an image appeared in the air. It was the scene of the 3 of them being humiliated. Shimin Mei looked furious and immediately ran out, wanting to chop that person to pieces. Shimin Shi frowned. This person was truly a scumbag. During the day, he insulted them, and at night, he called them over, and even used this kind of despicable and shameless method. Shimin Tian looked at the scene and immediately waved her hand, afraid that she would be discovered. The 3 of them came to the beautiful but humiliating flower field. Shimin Mei looked around, wanting to find that bastard. At this moment, a voice rang out from the void. He sealed his cultivation base and covered his eyes with a piece of cloth. Shimin Mei angrily cursed, "Damn bastard, come out! This old lady will definitely kill you." 10 Mei, 4 of them, 4 Qin, 4 of 7, Mei, Qin said. Shimin Shi, Tian Mei Shi, Shimin Shi. Shi, Shimin Luo Tian, Shi, 1 Shi, Shimin Shi and Shimin, Mei Shimin Tian, on the other hand, did not have her own opinion. The voice laughed as it said, "All right, I'll be going now. I'll announce this matter and let everyone in the outer world know. I'm sure that many people will be interested to see how the Western Alliance's 3 alliance masters are." Shimin Mei said, "Wait, what do you want?" The voice laughed as it said, "I already said to seal your cultivation and cover your eyes with a cloth." Shimin Mei said furiously, "Stop dreaming, I won't listen to you." The voice laughed as it said, "All right, I'll teach you a lesson. You should be clear about my strength. I'll kill you 3 men right now." In actuality, Zhao Fu had wanted to control the 3 men like he had Shimin Qing, but he found that he could not because their cultivations were much higher than Zhao Fu's. As such, he could only use this method to threaten them. The 3 of them did not know his true strength or identity. Hearing this, the 3 women's expressions fell. Thinking about how Zhao Fu had easily subdued them, killing them would be quite easy, and killing their men would be even easier. Zhao Fu said, "I'm going. Don't blame me." Shimin Mei suppressed her anger and said, "No, I'll listen to you." Shimin Mei sighed, feeling quite helpless. The 3 of them sealed their cultivations and covered their eyes with a cloth, feeling quite uneasy about what would happen next. A figure appeared in front of them and lifted Shimin Mei's chin. Shimin Mei angrily slapped that hand away and cursed, "Damn scum, don't touch me." That figure then hugged Shimin Mei in his arms. The night passed. The 3 women lay among the flowers and blankly looked at the sky. They had been ravaged by that bastard Zhao Fu for an entire night. Shimin Mei, who had been furious, thought back to everything that had happened that night and did not know what to do. Shimin Mei said, "We should go back." Shimin Tian asked, "What should we do in the future?" Shimin Mei said sadly, "I'm afraid that we won't be able to escape from his clutches in the future. What happened last night will happen again. I think that our fate has come to an end." Shimin Tian said with a look of surprise, "Is that really the case?" Shimin Mei replied, "Yes, I love my husband very much, but I don't want to keep hurting him like this, and it's also to protect him." Shimin Tian thought about it. "I also love my husband very much. It seems that I also have to choose to separate from him." Shimin Mei said coldly, "I must find that bastard." Shimin Mei did not say anything and said softly, "I'm leaving." 3 pieces of news quickly spread. The 3 alliance leaders had chosen to divorce their husbands together, causing everyone to speculate and discuss what had happened. Dongfang Qin looked at Shimin Tian with a pained expression and asked, "I'll ask you one last time, do you really want to divorce me?" Shimin Tian's face tensed up and she nodded, feeling very uncomfortable in her heart. Dongfang Qin did not say anything and turned to leave. Shimin Tian could not help but lie on the bed and cry bitterly. Ku Lua looked at Shimin Mei and begged, "Wife, did I do something wrong? I'll change it right away. I don't want to be separated from you." A tall man like Ku Luo begging a woman was quite unexpected. Shimin Mei said with a cold expression, "Scram, I don't like you anymore." Now, Shimin Mei felt very pained in her heart and hated that bastard. It was all his fault. In the end, Ku Luo begged a few times, but seeing that Shimin Mei had already given up on him, he could only choose to leave and come back after a while. Chapter 30-23. Book 1, Chapter 463. Death Shulua didn't say anything. When Shimin Shi said, "Let's separate," when Shimin Shi said that she had made up her mind, nothing he said would be of any use. Shimin Shi sat by the side and watched as Shu Luo packed his things and left, silently crying. Next to the willow tree, Shimin Yan's hands were bound by chains, and as she was ravaged by Zhao Fu, she said, "Are you happy now?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, Shimin Yan said furiously, "You're a scum." Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "That's right, I'm a scum. What right do you have to do this to me?" Shimin Yan coldly harumphed and ignored Zhao Fu. However, Zhao Fu asked, "Are you saying that I'm going to make a move against that alliance master?" Shimin Yan said coldly, "Just what is your goal?" Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "Just think about it and you'll understand. It's very simple. I want to subdue the 12 alliance masters." Shimin Yan said coldly, "Stop dreaming if you want to control the Western Alliance. If you really want to do something that harms the Western Alliance, I won't let you off even if I die. I won't listen to you just because of my son." Zhao Fu smiled as he comforted, "Don't worry, I won't do those things. I can promise that." Shimin Yen let out a sigh of relief. That was not what she wanted to see. Zhao Fu continued to ask, "Which alliance master is easy to deal with? If I succeed, I won't lose out on you. Can't you feel that your constitution is quickly becoming stronger?" Shimin Yen indeed felt that her constitution was quickly becoming stronger over the past few days, causing her power to increase. Her cultivation also started to loosen, and she was about to break through to a higher realm. Shimin Yan's expression eased as she said, "I feel that Alliance Master Shimin Noa is easy to deal with. Right now, what she cares about the most is her little brother. You can deal with her the same way you dealt with me." Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "Thank you." Following this, Zhao Fu went to find the fifth Alliance Master. Her little brother was around 10 years old and was quite handsome. However, it wasn't easy to make a move on him. That was because there was a kind of energy protecting his body. This energy was connected to Shimin Noa. Not only did it give the young man protection, it also gave the young man great power. The youth's name was Shimin Ming. With Zhao Fu's current strength, it was possible that he would not be able to deal with Shimin Ming. As such, he called Shimin Yen over and planned to have her deal with Shimin Ming. Shimin Yen did not refuse. Instead, she reminded, if she makes a move against Shimin Ming, Shimin Noa will sense it immediately. We will need Zhao Fu to lure Shimin Noa away. Actually, Shimin Yen just wanted to teach Zhao Fu a lesson and let her vent the resentment in her heart. Zhao Fu didn't think too much and agreed. At this time, a graceful woman with a cold face was about to walk away when a paper bird flew to her side. Shimin Na felt quite startled and stretched out her hand to take a look. "Something big has happened in the Western Alliance. If you want to know more, go to Clear Lake." There was also an Alliance Medallion's mark on it, which meant that the person who had sent her the message was an Alliance Master. Shimin Nua's expression was quite serious. She did not know what it was, but it was definitely not a small matter. As such, she decided to take a look. After coming to Clear Lake, Shimin Nua saw an ordinary-looking man who was not the Alliance Master. She asked curiously, "Are you looking for me?" The young man nodded. Shimin Nua asked, "Something big has happened in the Western Alliance?" The young man smiled as he said, "You'll know soon." Shimin Yen hid her aura and came to Shimin Ming's side. With her strength, dealing with Shimin Ming was incredibly easy, and a wave of energy locked down Shimin Ming, not giving him any time to react. Shimin Nua immediately sensed it and hurriedly flew to the side without hesitation. She had been with her little brother since she was young, and her little brother was the thing that she cared about the most in the world. However, by the time she reached there, Shimin Yen had already brought Shimin Ming to Zhao Fu's side. Looking at the ordinary-looking young man in front of her, Shimin Yen felt quite disappointed. She understood that this young man was a puppet that Zhao Fu had created, and she wanted to see for herself what the man who had always ravaged her looked like. Zhao Fu looked at Shimin Yen and smiled as he said, "You can leave now." Shimin Yen threw down the unconscious Shimin Ming. She knew what would happen next and turned to leave. Zhao Fu squatted down and sent a wave of energy into Shimin Ming's body, waking him up. Shimin Nua immediately sensed this and turned into a ray of light as she returned and said coldly, "Let go of my little brother." Zhao Fu evilly laughed as he said, "Seal your cultivation and cover your eyes, otherwise I'll kill your little brother." Shimin Ming struggled and said, "What are you doing? Big sis, don't agree to him." Shimin Nua did not say anything and suddenly appeared behind Zhao Fu. Her palm contained a massive wave of power as it pierced through Zhao Fu's body, causing Zhao Fu to directly fall to the ground, dead. Shimin Nua let out a sigh of relief and smiled as she said, "Little brother, are you all right?" Shimin Ming still had not reacted. He had never thought that his big sister would deal with that person so quickly. Just as he was about to speak, his expression changed. "Arg!" An intense cry of pain came from Shimin Ming's mouth, and he felt as if something was about to come out of his body. Shimin Nuo felt quite startled and hurriedly hugged her little brother, sending a wave of energy into him. However, not only was it useless, but Shimin Ming felt even more pain. At that moment, Zhao Fu's corpse laughed as it said, "This is the consequence of not listening to me." Shimin Nuo said coldly, "Just what do you want?" Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "Just obediently do as I said before." Shimin Nuo said coldly, "First, don't let my little brother suffer like this." Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "Sure." Shimin Ming fainted, and his expression of pain eased. Seeing this, Shimin Nuo felt at ease, and she coldly looked at Zhao Fu as she sealed her power and took out a rainbow-colored cloth to cover her eyes. "What do you want?" Zhao Fu laughed as he said, "You'll find out soon." Clang, clang. 2 more sounds of chains rang out, and 2 more chains shot out from the void, binding Shimin Nuo's hands and pulling her up. At the same time, Zhao Fu's main body appeared from the void. After an unknown period of time, Shimin Ming woke up, and he looked at his big sister, whose face was flushed red, and asked, "Big sister, are you all right? Did that person do anything?" Seeing that her little brother was fine, Shimin Nuo lightly smiled as she said, "No." Even though such a humiliating thing had just happened, seeing that her little brother was fine, Shimin Nuo felt that it was all worth it. Shimin Ming smiled as he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, big sister, I've caused you trouble again." Shimin Nuo smiled as she said, "It's fine, let's go back." Shimin Ming nodded and turned to look at the messy surroundings, feeling quite strange. Shimin Nuo's face became red as she said, "Little brother, let's hurry up and go." Shimin Ming did not think too much about it, and he smiled as he nodded. Chapter 30-24. Book 1, Chapter 464. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at the storage ring in his hand. Out of the 12 Alliance Masters, only the 1st, 2nd, 10th, 11th and 12th Alliance Masters were left. As long as he obtained their tokens, he would be able to open the treasury. At night, the bright moon hung in the sky. Beside the clear lake, Zhao Fu laughed as he ravaged Shimin Yen. "You did well." Shimin Yen lightly snorted. "How many Alliance Masters have you harmed?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Now there are 5 left. I also want to know who will be easier to deal with next." Shimin Yen asked, "Which 5? Zhao Fu replied, "The 1st Alliance Master, 2nd Alliance Master, 10th Alliance Master, 11th Alliance Master, and 12th Alliance Master." Shimin Yen asked doubtfully, "I can understand that Shimin Mei would be easy to deal with, but Shimin Luoli looks like a decent woman. When did you manage to get your hands on her?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You don't have to worry about that." Shimin Yen did not ask any further. In any case, she felt that Zhao Fu was a despicable and shameless person who was capable of doing anything. Shimin Yen said, "The most difficult ones to deal with are the 1st and 2nd Alliance Masters. The last 3 are easier. As for what method you use, it's up to you." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "All right, I'll be leaving then." Shimin Yen said in surprise, "So fast?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Didn't I accompany you for 3 hours? I'll go and play with Shimin Mei and her sisters." Shimin Yan's face turned slightly red. "Hurry up and scram. It's as if I need you." Zhao Fu laughed and left. Shimin Yen sensed that Zhao Fu had left. She took off the cloth covering her eyes and packed up before leaving the place. On the ground, Shimin Mei and the other 2 women stood there with their eyes covered. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You guys did well today." Zhao Fu was referring to the divorce between the 3 of them and her husband. Shimin Mei cursed, "Damn bastard, it's all because of you. Now I really want to chop you up and feed you to the dogs." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I'll teach you a lesson soon." As usual, Zhao Fu ravaged them while asking about the alliance leader to see if they had any good ideas. Only then did the 3 of them realize that they weren't the only ones who had been victimized. The other alliance leaders had also been victimized, perhaps even earlier than them. Shimin Mei said angrily, Does that mean that the Alliance Master also participated in the previous incident? Zhao Fu said with a smile. Yes, that's right. Otherwise, I wouldn't have succeeded so easily. Shimin Shi asked, Who is that person? Is it one or several? Zhao Fu said, I don't know about that. Now is the time for you to show your abilities. Otherwise, don't blame me. Shimin Mei angrily scolded, You scum. Zhao Fu said with a smile, Then what do you think we're doing? Shimin Mei's face was filled with shame and indignation, and she did not say anything. Shimin Shi said, What benefits do we get from helping you? Can you stop torturing us like this? Zhao Fu directly said, It's impossible for me to let you off. As for the benefits, aren't I giving them to you now? Shimin Shi's face became slightly red as she said, All right, I can tell you. Shimin Mei said anxiously, Eighth sister, you can't really be thinking of helping him, right? Shimin Shi lightly sighed, What else can we do if we don't help him? Shimin Tian said shyly, Even though he's a bad person, if we don't stop, we'll definitely be tortured by him. Perhaps even our husband will be in danger. Shimin Mei lightly harumphed and did not say anything else. Shimin Shi said, In the alliance, apart from being on good terms with 7th sister and 9th sister, I'm also on good terms with the 10th alliance master, Shimin Qingzhu. We both love to read and she's crazy about it. If you can obtain her book collection, she'll listen to you. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Thank you. I'll reward you later. Shimin Shi's face became red as she said, You can't harm her, that's my request. Zhao Fu suddenly said seriously, Don't worry. I didn't harm you, and I didn't intend to harm anyone. Shimin Mei cursed, You bastard, you caused us to become like this, and you still haven't harmed us? Do you have any shame? Zhao Fu laughed. After dealing with Shimin Mei and the other 2 women, Zhao Fu went to find the 10th alliance master. She had long, black hair and wore a white dress. She had a graceful figure and gave off an incredibly cold aura, and she sat in the courtyard, completely focused on reading a book in her hands. She was the 10th alliance master, Shimin Qingzhu. Zhao Fu did a simple search of her information and found that her most precious book collection was in the hidden book pavilion that she had built. The hidden book pavilion was also protected by an extremely powerful formation. Zhao Fu planned to use the evil celestial's ability to see if he could stealthily sneak in. If he could not, he would call the other alliance masters to come and break this formation. Zhao Fu stood in front of a 9-story wooden building, and his body started to become illusory as if he had fused into nothingness and flowed towards the wooden building. A powerful energy blocked in front of Zhao Fu, making it impossible for Zhao Fu to get close. Zhao Fu was not surprised, and his body turned into countless tiny nothingness bugs that gnawed at that energy. After spending most of the day, Zhao Fu had gnawed out a fist-sized hole, but this was enough for Zhao Fu to enter. After entering, Zhao Fu did not hide himself and revealed his body. He pushed open the wooden building's door, and he saw rows of bookshelves with all sorts of books on them. This made Zhao Fu feel quite surprised. Not long after Zhao Fu entered, Shimin Qingzhu hurried over. She saw an ordinary-looking man appear in her hidden book pavilion. Shimin Qingzhu said coldly, I don't care who you are. Please come out of my hidden book pavilion now. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I won't come out. Shimin Qingzhu was somewhat angry, but she held it in because she was worried that she would damage the books. She said, What do you want? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I don't want anything. Now seal your cultivation and cover your eyes with a cloth. Shimin Qingzhu said coldly, I won't agree to that. Zhao Fu said threateningly, I've also set up a small restriction here. With a wave of my hand, all the books here will be burned. After Zhao Fu finished speaking, balls of flames appeared in the surrounding void, and a wave of heat spread out. Shimin Qingzhu hurriedly said, Don't I agree. Zhao Fu smiled and looked at Shimin Qingzhu. He used a green cloth to cover his eyes and sealed his cultivation. Shimin Qingzhu said, "Now that I agree to your request, can you remove that restriction?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "As long as you listen to me, I will definitely remove that restriction." Chapter 3025. Volume 1, Chapter 465. Chapter 465. Shimin Qingzhu said coldly, "What else do you want?" Zhao Fu smirked as he walked towards Shimin Qingzhu. One day later, Zhao Fu was lying on the 9th floor of the wooden building, holding a book in his hands. Shimin Qingzhu lay in Zhao Fu's embrace weakly, his eyes still blindfolded. Shimin Qingzhu had collected many books, and he did not lack some extremely rare ancient book. The book that Zhao Fu was reading was related to the origin skeleton. This book could not be seen from the outside, and Zhao Fu had not expected that Shimin Qingzhu would collect it. According to the ancient books, the origin skeleton was Yao's corpse, and it was also recorded that the heaven's treasure was called the primal chaos origin mirror. It was a spiritual artifact nurtured by the heavens and earth, and it had an extremely vast origin power. It could give people primal chaos origin power and ensure that their souls would never be destroyed. Zhao Fu was pleasantly surprised. After so long, I finally know what the bronze mirror is, as well as its uses and origins. It is not strange for one to obtain primal chaos origin power. The bronze mirror itself can give people primal chaos origin power. This primal chaos origin power is not weaker than the primal chaos origin power that the origin race controls. If it is used by the origin race, the primal chaos power in their bodies will rapidly increase. There are no side effects or restrictions, so it is a rather precious artifact to the origin race. After reading this book, Zhao Fu put it away. It might be useful in the future. Zhao Fu smiled at Shimin Qingzhu, who was in his arms, and said, "I never thought that you would still be a virgin after being the Alliance Master for so long. Am I your first man?" Shimin Qingzhu said coldly, "I don't admit it." Zhao Fu smiled and asked, "Why?" Shimin Qingzhu said angrily, "You have the cheek to ask me why?" Zhao Fu said with a chuckle, "Why can't I ask? I am indeed your first man." Shimin Qingzhu said, "You used such a despicable method to obtain me. Now I want to kill you, and you still have the cheek to say that?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You've helped me a lot this time, so I'll give you some rewards. Don't you like ancient books? I can give you some ancient books from the Heaven Awaken world, Alchemy world, and Card world." Shimin Qingzhu asked in surprise, "Who are you?" Ordinary people did not have ancient texts from the three worlds, unless they had been to other worlds to collect them. Shimin Qingzhu had been to the Heaven Awaken world to collect some, but she had not been to the newest Card world and Alchemy world. Zhao Fu lifted Shimin Qingzhu's chin and said with a smile, "You don't have to care about who I am. You should be satisfied with the ancient books I give you. You can take a look at them after I leave." Shimin Qingzhu's expression softened a little, and he asked curiously, "Why did you cover my eyes? You don't even dare to show your face? Or are you just as ordinary as before?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Of course I'm not. However, I'll take a look at them for you in the future. Also, I'll be leaving now, I'll come back later." Shimin Qingzhu's face became red as she asked, "Why do you still want them?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Because you're too beautiful, and I like you a lot." Shimin Qingzhu could not help but feel quite happy. Even though she was quite angry at Zhao Fu's actions, Zhao Fu was indeed her first man. Zhao Fu said, "I'm going. I'll put the books aside." Shimin Qingzhu lightly nodded and said, "Hurry up and leave." After Zhao Fu left, Shimin Qingzhu couldn't wait to take off the cloth covering his eyes. He looked at the ancient books in front of him and gave a happy smile. He picked up a book and started to read it hungrily. Zhao Fu had also obtained her spatial ring. His greatest gains this time were confirming the origin skeleton's identity and information about the origin armament. After returning to Luoli's home, Luoli rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu and said, What have you been doing these past few days? Why haven't I seen you? Zhao Fu went up and hugged Luo Li as he said, I'll make it up to you later. Luo Li's face became red and she struggled free as she said, Don't be like this, my daughter will see us. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, All right, I'll come and find you tonight. Following this, Zhao Fu went to find Siemens Qing Zimeng and Niu Chun. He had been busy these past few days, and had not had time to spend with them. Now that he had time, he could spend more time with them. Siemens Qing Zimeng and her sister snuggled in Zhao Fu's embrace, and Siemens Qing Zimeng happily smiled as she said, We went to find Mother today. She's decided not to marry big sister to that origin child, and she won't stop us from being with you. I wonder if you're so lucky to have us sisters. Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, I'm very lucky to have met you all. Siemens Qing Zimeng smiled as she said, It's the same for us. I've already thought about what we'll do after we get married and have children. An awkward smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face. This was almost impossible, as no one could bear his bloodline giving birth to children. Moreover, Zhao Fu would leave after obtaining the origin skeleton and would not marry them. Siemens Qing Zimeng smiled as she asked, What is it? Zhao Fu gave a slight smile as he said, It's nothing. He would tell them about these things in the future, and Zhao Fu would do his best not to let them down and give them a good ending. Zhao Fu then went to Niu Chun's room before going to Shimin Luoli's room. Finally, he went to the flower field. Shimin sure said in surprise, You got it so quickly? Why didn't I receive any news about it? Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, Don't look down on my abilities. How are we going to deal with the remaining Alliance Masters? Shimin Mei said, You can go find the 12th Alliance Master, Shimin Chueshua. Her cultivation technique is quite special, and she can condense a life pearl. In the future, even if her body is heavily injured and dies, she can revive and preserve most of her power. She hid that life pearl in the Arctic lands of the extreme west, and it's protected by all sorts of powerful restrictions. I only found out about this by accident, and she most likely doesn't know that this location has already been leaked. As long as you can obtain her life pearl, you'll be able to control her life and death, and she can only submit to you. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Thank you. Shimin Mei said angrily, I didn't want to say it, but the Western Alliance Master is about to fall at your hands. I can't stop this, and even if I don't say it, you'll definitely use even more despicable methods to obtain her. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, It's still my wife who understands me. Hearing this form of address, Shimin Mei's heart softened and her face became slightly red. She felt that they had obtained Zhao Fu's acknowledgement and had become his women, and Shimin Mei did not want to be treated like a plaything by Zhao Fu. Shimin sure looked at Shimin Mei's expression and said, I never thought that the one who hated Zhao Fu the most would be the first to accept Zhao Fu's woman. Chapter 30-26. Book 1, Chapter 466. Destruction. According to Shimin Mei's information, Zhao Fu came to an icy plain and flew into an ice cave. There was a 6-story platform made of ice bricks, and there was an ice crystal orb that was as big as an egg. It gave off a resplendent icy light and looked quite pretty. This was the life essence pearl of the 12 Alliance Masters, Shimin Chueshua. There were powerful restrictions protecting them, and Zhao Fu used the same method he had used to break through Shimin Qingzhu's restrictions. Zhao Fu's body turned into nothingness and turned into countless nihility worms that gnawed at the restrictions. In the end, it took Zhao Fu half a day to break through the restrictions. It was not easy at all, and he stepped onto the stage and touched it. In the distance, Shimin Chueshua's expression fell, and he understood that something had happened to his most important item. He immediately flew over. Zhao Fu did not feel afraid at all, and he instead sat down and waited for Shimin Chueshua. Shimin Chueshua hurried over and saw an ordinary-looking young man sitting on the platform, smiling at her. Zhao Fu looked at Shimin Chueshua. She had beautiful long hair, and there were ice flowers on her head. Her face was exquisite, and she wore an ice-colored dress, giving off the aura of an icy beauty. Shimin Chueshua said coldly, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You don't need to know who I am. Just listen to me and seal your cultivation. Also, cover your eyes with a cloth, or else." Zhao Fu took out Shimin Chueshua's life essence pearl. Shimin Chueshua looked furious, and did not listen to Zhao Fu's words. She planned to take back her life essence pearl. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and wrapped an arc of lightning around the life essence pearl. Shimin Chueshua immediately felt a wave of electricity come out of her body, and she felt an intense pain. Shimin Chueshua exploded out with a powerful power and rushed towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu immediately sent a powerful wave of electricity into her life essence pearl. Arg! A pained cry sounded out as Shimin Chueshua fell to the ground. Her body gave off many arcs of electricity as she struggled in pain. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I told you, but you didn't listen." Shimin Chueshua angrily looked at Zhao Fu. Right now, her origin pearl was in Zhao Fu's hands, and she could not resist. She did not know how Zhao Fu knew that her origin pearl was here, and how he easily obtained it. Zhao Fu smiled and walked to Shimin Chueshua. "Since you don't want to listen to me, I'll help you." Zhao Fu took out a white cloth and covered Shimin Chueshua's eyes. Shimin Chueshua struggled. "What are you trying to do?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "You will know soon." With Zhao Fu's current strength, he would not be able to seal Shimin Chueshua's cultivation. However, with her natal essence pearl, Zhao Fu did not have to worry about anything. A few hours later, Shimin Chueshua was lying on the side with a cold face, but his face was still rosy and beautiful. Zhao Fu said, "I'm leaving." Shimin Chueshua did not care about Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I'll go to your house tomorrow. It's not convenient here." Shimin Chueshua said with a cold face, "Scum?" Zhao Fu chuckled and did not say anything. Shimin Chueshua said coldly, "Who told you that my natal essence pearl is here? No one should know about this." Shimin Chueshua could not understand how Zhao Fu found this place. Could it be a coincidence? However, Zhao Fu was waiting for her here, and it was obvious that he was after her. Moreover, she had set up so many restrictions, but why were there no effects? Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I'll tell you in the future. Also, your natal essence pearl is better with me than here." Shimin Chueshua turned her head away. She did not want to face Zhao Fu, who was such a despicable and shameless person. Seeing this, Zhao Fu could not help but pounce at her again. In the end, after an entire day, Shimin Chueshua lay powerlessly on Zhao Fu's chest. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm really leaving this time." Shimin Chueshua coldly harumphed. Zhao Fu looked at Shimin Chueshua and said, "I'll send you back. Also, if you don't want to stay at your house, we'll come here in the future." Shimin Chueshua said angrily, "Who wants to?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Where will we meet in the future?" Shimin Chueshua said coldly, "Here." In actuality, Shimin Chueshua quite liked this place. It was a different feeling, but she still could not accept Zhao Fu, that scum. Zhao Fu said with a smile, and Shimin Chueshua said, "Also, tell me your goal and plan." Zhao Fu replied, "I can't tell you that, but I can give you some information. You're the fourth alliance master that I control." Shimin Chueshua looked quite shocked. "The fourth? You're saying that you've already controlled the first 8? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Shimin Chueshua felt an unknown terror. So many alliance masters had unknowingly been controlled. Just how dangerous was this? Zhao Fu hugged her and comforted her. "Don't worry, I won't hurt you. I'll leave after I'm done." Shimin Chueshua asked, "Really?" Zhao Fu nodded and said, I won't lie to you." Shimin Chueshua finally felt at ease. Apart from believing in Zhao Fu, there was nothing else she could do. The two of them cuddled for a while before Zhao Fu left the ice cave. In the flower field, Shimin Mei said, "You're quite fast." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Actually, I can deal with it in half a day, but I was delayed by some things." Shimin Mei lightly harumphed. "How does Shimin Shueishue taste?" Zhao Fu chuckled as he said, "I like all of them." Shimin Sure smiled as she said, "I feel that you're not simple at all. Even though we told you their secrets, you were able to deal with them so quickly. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to do this." Shimin Tian shyly said, "Also, you're not even letting us see what you look like. What's there to hide?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "If you want to see me in the future, I'll let you see me, but not now." Shimin Sure said, "Now that you've dealt with Shimin Shueishue, there's only the first Alliance Master, second Alliance Master, and 11th Alliance Master left. What do you plan to do next?" Zhao Fu lightly smiled and said, "I'm here to ask you." Shimin Mei lightly harumphed, "We can't do anything. You can go and ask others, but you have to accompany us first." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "All right, wife." Shimin Mei's face became slightly red as she lightly nodded, acknowledging Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu returned to Shimin Luoli's home and did not expect that Shimin Yan would be there to talk to him. Zhao Fu did not want to go over, but Shimin Luoli smiled and called out, "Zijuan, come over for a moment." As such, Zhao Fu could only go over and ask, "What's the matter?" Shimin Luoli smiled and said, "Let me introduce you. She's the third Alliance Master." Zhao Fu bowed and said, "Greetings, Alliance Master." Shimin Yan sized up Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked so perfect that Shimin Yan admitted that she had never seen him before. Chapter 30-27. Book 1, Chapter 467. Battle. It was just that she felt that the man in front of her was somewhat familiar, but she had never seen him before. Shimin Luoli smiled as she said, "This is my son-in-law. I'll have to trouble you to take care of him in the future." Shimin Yan nodded, "No problem." Zhao Fu said, "Apologies, I have something to do, so I'll be leaving." Shimin Yan watched as Zhao Fu left and felt that Zhao Fu was becoming more and more familiar. She had never thought that Zhao Fu was the man who had always ravaged her. Half an hour later, by the lake, Shimin Yan's hands were once again bound by chains, and she was ravaged by Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, "Now, there are only 3 Alliance Masters left." Shimin Yan said, "Did the other Alliance Masters help you?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, It's all thanks to your help that I was able to escape so quickly." These words made Shimin Yan feel somewhat guilty, and she said earnestly, "If you really dare to do anything to harm the Westgate Alliance, I'll stop you even if I have to die." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I promise you, so don't worry. Good wife." Shimin Yan's face became red, and she did not know how to reply to Zhao Fu's words. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I plan to deal with the 11th Alliance Master next. Do you have any ideas?" Shimin Yan replied, "It seems that the 5th Alliance Master Shimin No knows some things about the 11th Alliance Master. You can go and ask her." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Thanks. I'll call her over later." After a while, Shimin Yan packed up and quickly left. Shimin No received Zhao Fu's message, and came over with a cold expression. Looking at the mess around her, she understood what had just happened, and her face became red. A voice sounded out in the air, as usual, "Cover your eyes and seal your cultivation." Shimin Nuo obediently listened to Zhao Fu's words. Following this, 2 chains shot out from the air and bound her hands, and Zhao Fu appeared behind her. Zhao Fu asked, "Next, I'm going to deal with the 11th Alliance Master. I heard that you know some things about her. What can you tell me?" Shimin Nuo asked, "Tell me first, how many Alliance Masters do you have under your control?" Zhao Fu replied, "She's the last and third." Shimin Nuo sighed, "All right. I'll tell you." The 11th Alliance Master's name was Shimin Shan Shi. She had secretly given birth to a son with a man, but that man was an enemy of the Western Alliance. When Shimen Nuo found out about this, she wanted to tell the others, but after Shimen Luomei begged her, she decided to keep it a secret. However, Shimen Shangshi had to promise Shimen Nuo that he would not do anything that would harm the Western Alliance. He would also not participate in some major event. Shimen Shangshi had been staying in her own force, not caring about anything, nor did she have much contact with others. She was also afraid that the news would leak out, which would lead to a fatal disaster for her, her child, and her man. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Thank you." Shimen Nuo reminded, "Remember what you promised me." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. A few hours later, Zhao Fu left. Shimen Nuo's face was red, and she tidied up her clothes before leaving as well. A beautiful middle-aged woman was smiling as she hugged a baby and sat on a stone bench. At that moment, an ordinary-looking young man walked in. Shimen Shangshi looked at the young man curiously. "Who are you?" Zhao Fu said coldly. "As the Alliance Master, you actually had an affair with an enemy of the Western Gate Alliance, and gave birth to such a vile child." Shimen Shangshi's expression changed, and she said in panic, "How did you know?" Zhao Fu coldly harumphed, "It doesn't matter how I know. I just want to know how the Western Gate Alliance will deal with you." Shimen Shangshi hugged the baby and wanted to leave. Zhao Fu said with a cold smile, "You can continue to run, but you should know the consequences." Shimen Shangshi stopped and said with a cold expression, "What requests do you have? As long as you can keep this a secret for me, I can give you anything you want." At that moment, Shimen Shangshi also wanted to kill Zhao Fu. However, since Zhao Fu dared to come looking for her so directly, he definitely had something to rely on. She was worried that this matter would blow up. Zhao Fu's mouth rose, revealing a trace of a smile as he said, "My strength can't compare to yours, so I'll seal my cultivation first." Shimen Shangshi frowned. "Tell me your goal first." Zhao Fu lightly harumphed, "Then there's no need for us to talk. You can run, but the moment you run, the other Alliance Masters will find out. You won't be able to escape from the Western Gate Alliance, and will be captured. Your family of 3 can go to hell and reunite." Shimen Shangshi looked angry. "I promise you." Shimen Shangshi sealed her power and stared at him with her beautiful eyes as she said, "Now, can you tell me what you want?" The ordinary-looking young man smiled as he looked at Shimen Shangshi. A figure suddenly appeared behind Shimen Shangshi and hugged her. Shimen Shangshi felt quite startled and vigorously struggled, but she could not break free. This was because her power had been sealed, and she was now just an ordinary woman. The ordinary-looking young man smiled and said, "Don't move or I'll kill your child first." Shimen Shangshi's eyes were filled with tears as she suppressed the anger in her heart and did not continue to struggle. Zhao Fu, who was behind her, took out a white cloth and covered her eyes. Because he liked women like Shimen Shangshi, Zhao Fu spent more than a day. Shimen Shangshi powerlessly lay in Zhao Fu's embrace, and thinking about what had just happened, she started to cry. Zhao Fu said comfortingly, "You don't have a future, so you might as well follow me. I'll protect you and your child." Shimen Shangshi said coldly, "Who do you think you are?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I already control 9 Alliance Masters, and with you, that's 10. Do you think I don't have the ability to protect you and your child?" Shimen Shangshi had a look of shock. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Are you willing now?" Shimen Shangshi coldly scolded, "Even so, I'm not willing. You're a despicable bastard." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I can understand if you're not willing now. I'll come often in the future. As for your child, I'll leave some power behind. It can help your child grow, but it can also threaten her life. It's up to you to choose." Shimen Shangshi said angrily, "You're despicable indeed, using a child to threaten me." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I have something to do, so I'll be leaving first. I'll come back later." After Shimen Shangshi sensed that Zhao Fu had left, She took off the cloth covering her eyes and hurriedly picked up the sleeping child. She placed one hand on the child and immediately felt a terrifying power, causing Shimin Shangxi to feel quite shocked. Shimin Shangxi tried to get rid of it, but it was useless. Shimin Shangxi was shocked. Just who was this despicable bastard? How could there be such a power? What was even more terrifying was that there were so many alliance masters under his control. Chapter 30-28. Book 1, Chapter 468. Revenge. After dealing with this, Zhao Fu set his sights on the second alliance master. Zhao Fu went to Shimin Yan's house, and Shimin Yan was quite flustered. She did not want others to know about her relationship with Zhao Fu. However, she could not change Zhao Fu's mind. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I've already controlled the 11th Alliance Master, and there are only the 1st and 2nd Alliance Masters left." Shimin Yan's face became red as she said, "I can't help but admire you for controlling another Alliance Master so quickly. Are you here to ask me if I have any methods to control the 1st and 2nd Alliance Masters? I feel that it'll be very difficult. They don't have any flaws." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Is that so? Do they have anyone or anything that they care about?" Shimin Yan said angrily, "Are you always going to be so despicable? Can't you think of other methods? Why are you always using such a disgusting method?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Even though it's disgusting, it's the fastest and most direct method." Shimin Yan said, "I can't help you with this. Go ask the other alliance masters." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "All right." Following this, Zhao Fu went to find Shimin Mei and the other two women, but they were also unable to do anything. Zhao Fu then went to find Shimin Nuo and Shimin Qingzhu, but they were still unable to do anything. Could it be that the 2nd and 1st Alliance Masters really did not have any flaws? Zhao Fu decided to carefully study the two Alliance Masters. At that moment, a figure hugged Zhao Fu and affectionately said, "Boy, did you miss Auntie?" Zhao Fu could tell that it was Shimin Mei from the voice and smiled as he said, "Of course I did." The two of them quickly came to an empty area. Zhao Fu casually asked, "What are the 1st and 2nd Alliance Masters like?" Shimin Mei smiled as she said with a red face, "Boy, can't you focus a bit? Also, why are you curious about them? One only likes women, while the other hates men." Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. He had never thought that Shimin Mei would know something. He smiled in delight and said, "I'm just a bit curious. Can you tell me more about them?" Shimin Mei lightly snorted, "We'll talk about it later, you rascal." Several hours later, Shimin Mei lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and began to talk about the 1st and 2nd Alliance Masters. First, the 2nd Alliance Master was called Shimin Nightingale. She liked women and would often change her appearance to seduce beautiful and talented women. Moreover, she had harmed and deceived many women. Most people did not know about this matter, and Shimin Nightingale did not divulge this secret. Shimin Mei only knew about it once when she went out and saw Shimin Nightingale seducing a rich young lady. Shimin Nightingale also didn't know that her secret had been discovered, because she had concealed it. Even her acquaintances couldn't see through it, but she also didn't know that Shimin Mei also had a special ability. Her nose was very sensitive to smells, and she could clearly remember the different smells of each person. As for the 1st Alliance Master, Shimin Fenghua, apart from hating men, she had killed many men. Zhao Fu did not know what had happened to her. Shimin Mei knew that Shimin Fenghua had not been provoked, and she simply didn't like men. Moreover, she hadn't liked women since she was young. Of course, she didn't like women either, but she hated men even more. Zhao Fu thought that Shimin Nightingale would be easier to deal with, so he decided to make a move against her first. He wouldn't be able to use her secret to threaten her, because even if this secret was leaked, no one would dare to say anything. Zhao Fu still did not have a way to deal with this, so he decided to continue researching. According to the information that Shimin Mei had given him, Zhao Fu collected some more information and finally found a way to deal with Shemin Nightingale. 2 days later, Zhao Fu stood in front of 20 or so beautiful women. They were all women that Shemin Nightingale had played with, and this was only a small portion of them. They were also very angry about Shemin Nightingale's actions. Zhao Fu had sent them a message, and they had quickly rushed over. They wanted to take revenge on Shemin Nightingale, and they also wanted to let Shemin Nightingale taste the feeling of being played with. The women looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Can you really help us?" Zhao Fu nodded. "Don't worry, as long as you tell me everything about your experiences with her, I will have a way to deal with her." A gentlewoman said, "Right now, we don't even know what you look like, so how can we believe you? Also, do you think that there would be a person who would help others for no reason? What is your purpose?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Hurry up and tell me, otherwise I won't be polite to you." Hearing this, the women understood that this person in front of them might not be a good person. They had escaped from the tiger's mouth and entered the wolf's den. A woman with a hot figure called out, "I want to leave now." Zhao Fu said, "No." The woman with a hot figure coldly harumphed, "Let's see how you're going to stop me." The woman gave off a wave of flames and turned into a ray of light as she flew towards the horizon. The sound of chains could be heard, binding her hands and hanging her up. As she struggled, she angrily cursed, "Hurry up and let go of me, you bastard!" The women looked at Zhao Fu in fear. Some of the women immediately flew in different directions, thinking that Zhao Fu would not capture them all and that some of them would escape. However, they had underestimated Zhao Fu's power. Iron chains continuously shot out from the air, binding the women's hands and hanging them up. The women angrily cursed at Zhao Fu, but it was too late for them to regret it. 3 days later, the women's faces were red as they lay around Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "I will take revenge for you. I've already found a way to deal with her." The woman with a hot figure said, "You're not a good person either." They were much weaker than Zhao Fu, so Zhao Fu could easily control them. As such, they did not hide their appearances. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "Are you happier with her or with me?" The woman's face became red. "Damned bastard, I don't want to talk to you." Zhao Fu got up and cut her off. The sweet-tempered woman could not help but say, "Are you planning to leave after playing with us?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Even though I'm quite trash, don't worry, I'll take responsibility and won't be the same as her." Hearing this, the women let out a sigh of relief. The sweet-tempered woman asked, "How do you plan to deal with her?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "After I succeed, I'll show you." The women nodded. A handsome young master dressed in white walked out of a city with a folding fan in his hand. Suddenly, he heard the melodious sound of a zither. Following the sound, he saw a beautiful woman dressed in white playing the zither under a pavilion. The moment the young master saw the woman, he felt his heart stir and was stunned. He had never seen a woman who could move his heart so much. After standing there for a long time, the young master came back to his senses and gave an enchanting smile as he went up and said, "Miss, your zither is too beautiful. It's the first time I've heard such beautiful zither music, and I thought I was in a celestial realm." Chapter 30-29. Book 1, Chapter 469. Book 1. The white-clothed woman lightly laughed as she glanced at the young master. "You have a glib tongue. I don't believe you." The young master said sincerely, "Little miss, you've misunderstood me. I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart." The white-clothed woman smiled as she said, "I'm going to go now. I won't bother with you any more." The young master hurriedly asked, "Not only is Little Miss's name, but also where you live?" The white-clothed woman looked at the young master and smiled as she said, "Why should I tell a stranger like you?" The young master said apologetically, "I was rude. I wonder if Little Miss will come back tomorrow." The white-clothed woman lightly laughed, "I'm not sure." After speaking, the white-clothed woman hugged the zither and left, leaving behind the young master passionately looking at the woman's back and swearing in his heart that he would definitely obtain her. The next day, the white-clothed woman came here again, and seeing the young master sleeping under the pavilion, she called out, "Why are you sleeping here?" The young master said somewhat awkwardly, "Because I wanted to see little miss too much. I waited here the entire time and accidentally fell asleep. I'm very sorry." The white-clothed woman's face became slightly red. "You idiot." The young master smiled as he said, "Little Miss Scolding is very good. I'm indeed an idiot." The white-clothed woman lightly laughed as she said, "You haven't eaten breakfast, right? I made some desserts. Do you want to try some?" The young master bowed and said, "Thank you, little miss." The white-clothed woman took out a plate of desserts and gave it to the young master. The young master unintentionally touched the woman's hand, causing her face to become slightly red, and she shyly retracted her hand. The young master looked quite apologetic and embarrassed. The white-clothed woman continued to play the zither while the young master listened with a look of enjoyment. After the song ended, the young master would immediately praise her. The two of them slowly became closer and closer. 9 days later, under a peach tree that was filled with peach blossoms, the white-clothed woman leaned against the young master's embrace as she softly asked, "Little fellow, when do you plan on marrying me?" The young master passionately looked at the white-clothed woman as he said, "I want to marry you immediately and make you my wife." It was evident that the young master had developed true feelings for the white-clothed woman and planned on marrying her. She had never met someone who could move her heart so much before, and now, she felt that she could not leave the white-clothed woman. The white-clothed woman chuckled. "Really?" The young master held Bai Yi's hand and said sincerely, "Of course, but I have a secret to tell you. I hope you can forgive me." Now that he wanted to be with the woman in white, he could only be honest. Otherwise, there would be more trouble in the future. The white-clothed woman said with a smile. "What secret?" The young master said seriously, "You have to be prepared. I am actually a woman, and my appearance has changed a little." The woman in white was not surprised. Instead, she laughed and said, "I'll also tell you a secret. I'm actually a man." The young master was stunned. The woman in white said with a smile, "I already knew your identity, Shemin Nightingale." Shemin Nightingale's face changed dramatically. She grabbed the neck of the woman in white and shouted angrily, "Who are you?" The woman in white turned into countless strands of blood-colored aura and dissipated. Zhao Fu and many women walked out from the side. These days, Shemin Nightingale and the puppet that Zhao Fu had created had fallen in love, and Zhao Fu had been spending time with many beauties. The white-clothed woman was a puppet that Zhao Fu had created to attract Shemin Nightingale based on the information given by the women. She was the most perfect person in Shemin Nightingale's heart, and that puppet had been controlled by Zhao Fu. As such, Zhao Fu had pretended to be a woman and wanted to have sex with her. Shemin Nightingale looked at the familiar women and said with a cold expression, "Just who are you?" The woman with the fiery figure laughed. "Shemin Nightingale, you didn't expect this, right? One day you will also be deceived. This is retribution." Shemin Nightingale coldly harumphed, "Did you find him? In order to take revenge on me, you did well this time. I did have true feelings for him, but you also made me very angry. Now I'm going to teach you a lesson." A powerful aura exploded out from Shemin Nightingale's body, but in the next moment, Shemin Nightingale's face paled, and she coughed up a large mouthful of blood, and her aura became weak. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "Did you think that I would come out so foolishly?" Shemin Nightingale's expression was cold as she said, "What did you do to me?" Zhao Fu smiled as he explained, "Nothing much. I poisoned the desserts you've been eating these past few days, and you didn't notice it at all." Shemin Nightingale angrily cried out, "I'll kill you." Zhao Fu walked in front of her and pinched Shemin Nightingale's chin. "You still have the confidence to say that? Now let me see your true appearance." A wave of power entered Shemin Nightingale's body, causing her body to give off a white light. Her appearance also changed, and a peerlessly beautiful face appeared in front of Zhao Fu. She could be called a famous beauty in the primal chaos world. Shemin Nightingale not only had a peerlessly beautiful face, but she also had a devilish figure, causing the hearts of countless men to burn with passion. This surprised Zhao Fu, who smiled and said, "You look pretty good." Shemin Nightingale said with a cold expression, "It's my bad luck that I fell into your hands this time. Hurry up and do what you want." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Then I won't be polite." Zhao Fu took out a piece of cloth and blindfolded Shemin Nightingale. Now that Zhao Fu was still wearing his cloak, Shemin Nightingale did not know what Zhao Fu looked like. The women happily smiled as they surrounded Shemin Nightingale. Now, they wanted to take revenge on Shemin Nightingale. One day later, Shemin Nightingale, who was in Zhao Fu's embrace, said coldly, "Can you let me go now?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "When did I say that I would let you go?" Shemin Nightingale said angrily, "You've already done this to me, what else do you want to do to me?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "From now on you're my woman. You have to do whatever I want you to do. Do you hear me?" Shemin Nightingale said angrily, "I definitely won't agree, and I don't like men." Zhao Fu said with a chuckle, "You weren't like this a moment ago." The hot woman also smiled and said, "That's right, I was surprised just now. Also, thank you, husband, for taking revenge for us. From now on, we're all your women." The gentlewoman also said, "I don't have any objections." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Look at how obedient they are. Isn't it good for you to be obedient as well?" Shemin Nightingale's face turned red. She knew that she did not like men, and she did not know that she would act like that just now. Zhao Fu said, "I'll also tell you a secret. As for the last alliance leader, I'll subdue all of you." "What?" Shemin Nightingale looked shocked. This sudden news made her mind go blank. She had never thought that such a thing would happen. Most importantly, she had not received any news at all. Chapter 30. Book 1, Chapter 470. Zhao Fu looked at Shemin Nightingale and chuckled. "How is it? Don't you feel very surprised? I'm only missing the number 1 leader, and I can control the Western Alliance." Shemin Nightingale said coldly, "What's your purpose?" Zhao Fu said with a chuckle, "Why should I tell you? Now that you've been poisoned by me, you can't resist at all." Shemin Nightingale's face turned ugly. Zhao Fu continued to ask, "I heard that you have a good relationship with the first leader. I want to ask you if you have any way to deal with her." Shemin Nightingale said coldly, "Why should I tell you?" Zhao Fu chuckled, "It doesn't matter if you don't tell me. Anyway, I've already controlled 11 leaders. Then you can watch how the Western Alliance perishes and how your subordinates and friends die." Shemin Nightingale said angrily, "How dare you?" Zhao Fu smiled and pinched her mouth. "Do you think I don't dare? If you don't want this to happen, you'd better be obedient." Shemin Nightingale had no choice but to compromise. "You have to promise me that you will never do anything to harm the Western Alliance." Zhao Fu nodded. Shemin Nightingale said, "I have a good relationship with the first leader, but I don't know any secrets about her, and I can't deal with her." Zhao Fu looked at Shemin Nightingale and said, "Are you kidding me?" Shemin Nightingale quickly said, "I don't, but I really don't know, but I can cooperate with you to deal with the first leader. As for the method, you can think of it yourself." Zhao Fu said, "That's more like it. Then I'm leaving." Shemin Nightingale nodded. After Zhao Fu left, Shemin Nightingale took off the cloth and looked at the women around her. The hot woman joked, "How is it? How does it feel to be a man?" Shemin Nightingale snorted, "You bunch of women, I have a relationship with you, but you treat me like this." The gentlewoman snorted, "Who told you to deceive our feelings and flirt around? Now you have your retribution. Let's see if you dare to do it in the future." Shemin Nightingale chuckled, "Didn't you fall into his hands? Also, what does that person look like? A seductive woman lightly laughed as she said, "We're willing to follow him. Even though he's a bit fickle, he's responsible to us unlike you. Also, why should we tell you? You should worry about your Western alliance." Shemin Nightingale frowned and looked a little angry. The gentlewoman said softly, "He doesn't want to reveal his appearance, and he has his own reasons. We really can't tell you, but we can tell you that he definitely won't disappoint you. Now that you and I are both his women, we can be together." It was very obvious that this gentlewoman still had feelings for Shemin Nightingale, even if Shemin Nightingale was also a woman. Shemin Nightingale sighed helplessly. Zhao Fu returned to the Western Alliance's headquarters. In order to deal with Shemin Nightingale, Zhao Fu had spent a total of more than 10 days, which was the longest. After returning, Zhao Fu first went to Shemin Luoli's home. The women were all curious about where Zhao Fu had gone, and Zhao Fu briefly explained that he had taken care of them. After accompanying them, Zhao Fu went to find Shimin Yan, Shimin Nua, and Shimin Qingzhu, and finally lay down in Shimin Shangxi's room. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "There's still one more alliance master." Shimin Shangxi's face was red as she said shyly, "You bad guy, you don't know what we did to deserve such retribution." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I've been away for so long. Did you miss me?" Shimin Shangxi said with a red face, "No, I have to go take care of my child." Zhao Fu lightly laughed, "I also have to go and deal with the first alliance master." Shimin Shangxi reminded him, "Then be careful. The first alliance master hates men the most. If she sees you, she will easily kill you." Zhao Fu nodded and smiled, "Thank you for your concern." Shimin Shangxi rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. The first alliance master, Shimin Fenghua, was currently in seclusion, and it was difficult for Zhao Fu to see her. Moreover, her subordinates were all women, there were no men at all. Zhao Fu wanted to control Shimin Fenghua's subordinates and use them. They should know some of Shimin Fenghua's secrets. Shimin Fenghua's subordinates were at least in the Dao realm, and with Zhao Fu's strength, he naturally would not be able to control them. However, with Zhao Fu's current strength, he would be able to take them down without Zhao Fu doing anything. Zhao Fu called Shimin Yan over. Shimin Yan asked, "What do you want?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Please capture Shimin Fenghua's subordinates." Shimin Yan frowned, "What bad idea do you have? If Shimin Fenghua finds out that I was the one who did it, she will definitely find me for revenge." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Right now, she is the only one. Soon, she will fall into my hand. What are you afraid of?" Shimin Yan coldly harumphed, "Don't ask me to take responsibility alone. It will be more convenient for you to call a few more alliance masters, and the risk will be smaller in the future." Zhao Fu thought about it and said, "Okay. Wait." Following this, Shimin Nua, Shimin Chueshua, and Shimin Qingzhu came. Seeing Shimin Yan standing there, they looked at each other and did not say anything. Zhao Fu said that only the first alliance master was not controlled. The other alliance masters were controlled by Zhao Fu, and it was not just simple control. They might have all been humiliated by Zhao Fu. Shimin Nua looked at Shimin Yan and asked, "It seems like you are closer to him. How did he subdue you? Also, was my brother captured by you?" Shimin Yan nodded, "It was me. However, you know how despicable that guy is. I was forced to do this, so I can apologize to you." Shimin Nua coldly harumphed, "That bastard." Shimin Chueshua's face turned slightly red. "That guy is very despicable, using my origin pearl to threaten me. I really want to teach him a lesson." Shimin Qingzhu smiled and said, "I don't care about my relationship with him, and he even gave me many ancient books." Shimin Nua said, "You're so easy to fool, you let him get a few ancient books." At that moment, a voice sounded out in the void, "I'm still here, so why are you all saying bad things about me?" Shimin Nua said, "Why can't we say it? Who told you to treat us like that?" Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "Let's not talk about this anymore. I called you all here because I have something for you to do. I hope that you can help me capture Shimen Fenghua's 4 subordinates and seal their cultivations." Shimen Nuo said angrily, "You want to deal with them the same way you dealt with us?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Yes, there's only the last alliance master left. As long as we deal with her, this matter will be over." Shimen Qingzhu said, "You're here for that origin corpse." Chapter 30-31. Book 1, Chapter 471. Battle. Zhao Fu looked quite startled and smiled as he said, "How did you know?" Shimen Qingzhu smiled as she said, "I'm missing a book, and that book is related to the origin corpse." Everyone else felt quite shocked. This was the first time they had heard of Zhao Fu's true goal. Shimen Qingzhu continued to ask, "Apart from obtaining the origin corpse, do you have any other goals? Also, why are you not willing to let us see your identity and appearance?" Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "After everything is over, I'll tell you all. Right now, you just need to listen to me." Shimen Yan warned, "I don't care about your identity or goal, but if you do anything to harm the Western Alliance, I won't let you off." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Got it, hurry up." Shimen Yan and the others disappeared. Within a room, a beautiful woman with a voluptuous figure was handling all sorts of documents. Her name was Shimen Ing. Shimen Fenghua was in closed-door cultivation, and there were many things that required the 4 of them to handle. Shimen Ing was the busiest one. Suddenly, Shimen Ying's expression fell as she felt a massive, formless hand grabbing towards her. Shimen Ing wanted to escape, but facing that formless hand, she was unable to resist at all and was caught. Shimen Ing felt a wave of terror. This was a power on the level of the Alliance Master. Shimen Ing could not understand why he wanted to capture her. In the sky, a graceful and cold-looking woman wearing a purple dress flew in a certain direction. She was Shimen Qiu, one of Shimen Qiu's 4 subordinates. The one who caught her was Shimen Nuo. However, Shimen Nuo did not want to reveal his identity, so he threw out a rope. The rope quickly flew towards Shimen Qiu. Before Shimen Qiu could react, she was tied up by the rope. Shimen Nuo blindfolded her and brought her towards the clear lake. She, a tall and valiant-looking woman, killed a man with a single slash of her saber. Her name was Shimen Lian, and she somewhat disliked men. However, she did not dislike them as much as Shimen Fenghua. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind her and grabbed her, making it so that she could not resist at all. Shimen Lian was greatly shocked and did not know who had grabbed her. That person took out a white cloth and blindfolded her. The last one was Shimen Wu. She was originally sitting on a chair reading a book when a terrifying force quickly attacked her. Shimen Wu also did not have the strength to resist. A while later, Shimen Yan and the others brought Shimen Wu and the others to where they were. Shimen Qiu's eyes were blindfolded and she said coldly, "Who are you? Why have you captured us?" A man's laughter sounded out in the air. "You can leave. Leave them to me." Shimen Yan and the other 3 women looked at Shimen Qiu and the other women. They knew what this despicable fellow wanted to do, and their bodies disappeared. Shimen Ying's expression turned ugly. "We are the subordinates of the Western Alliance's number 1 Alliance Master. Please let us go, or the consequences will be dire." Ing 4 I Yan's Zhao Long Ling 4. Yan en Lian, Ling Lian Feng, Howen said. Zhao Fu appeared from the void and said with a smile, "That's right, I have a scheme." Shimen Wu coldly asked, "Who are you?" Zhao Fu ignored them. With a wave of his hand, chains flew out and bound their arms. Shimen Min said angrily, "What do you want to do to us?" Zhao Fu didn't want to waste any more time with them. He was tempted. After a few hours, Zhao Fu looked at the 4 women on the ground and said with a smile, "Now, take a guess. If Shimen Fenghua knew about this, would she still want you guys?" The 4 women's expressions became unsightly. They knew that Shimen Fenghua hated men the most, and if she found out about this, they would definitely be very miserable. Even if they were not willing, even if they did not die, their statuses would all leave them. Shimin Min said coldly, "What's your purpose? Speak quickly, don't waste time." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "All right, I want to know what Shimin Fenghua's flaws are. As long as you can tell me, I will definitely protect your identities and positions." Shimin Min said coldly, "Why should we believe you?" Zhao Fu said confidently, "Your alliance master is the last alliance master that I can control. As long as I can control her, I will be able to control the Western Alliance. Moreover, I can tell you that the person who captured you was the Western Alliance master." The four women's faces became pale, and it seemed that they had never thought that things would turn out like this. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Now, can you believe me?" Shimening said, "I was wondering why the power that captured me was so familiar. So it was the Alliance Master. No wonder I did not resist at all. Now I have nothing to say." Shimin Qiu said, "There's nothing we can do, we can only listen to his orders. Now that so many Alliance Masters have fallen into his hands, there's nothing we can do." Shimin Lian thought about it and said, "All right, we can agree to your conditions, but you have to promise us that you won't harm our Alliance Master." Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "Don't worry. It's not like I haven't harmed the other Alliance Masters." Shimin Lian lightly harumphed and said, "Have the other Alliance Masters been harmed by you, scum like us?" Zhao Fu laughed and said, "Don't be so harsh, you're all very happy." Shimin Min's face became slightly red as she spat, "You bad fellow." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "All right, hurry and tell me Shimin Fenghua's secret. I need to deal with these matters as soon as possible, and I'll definitely give you all many benefits." Shimin Lian started to tell Zhao Fu about Shimin Fenghua's secret. Turned out that the reason why Shimin Fenghua hated men so much was because of her constitution. Her constitution instinctively repelled men, and every once in a while, she would have to use men's blood to refine medicinal pills. Otherwise, she would feel incredibly uncomfortable whenever she was near men. The men that Shimin Lian had killed had been taking their blood to refine medicinal pills. This was Shimin Fenghua's greatest weakness. Without the suppression of medicinal pills, even if Zhao Fu walked in front of her, she would feel incredibly uncomfortable, and if he was near her, it would be even more painful, making her unable to fight at all. Even though Zhao Fu did not know what sort of constitution it was and why it had such a great weakness, according to what Shimin Lian and the others had said, Shimin Fenghua was the most powerful person in the Western Alliance because of this constitution. He felt that this was the price to pay for being powerful. Shimin Lian and the others would send medicinal pills to Shimin Fenghua every once in a while, and tomorrow was the day to do so. Zhao Fu now had a plan to deal with Shimin Fenghua. Within a large hall, Shimin Fenghua sat on a stage with her eyes closed. There were many skeletons around her, and they were all men's skeletons. They gave off waves of eerie white aura and floated towards Shimin Fenghua. Zhao Fu wondered what sort of terrifying thing she had cultivated. Chapter 30-32 Volume 1, Chapter 1. The next day, Shimin Qiu came to the door of the palace. This palace was not above ground, but a few hundred meters underground. There were two balls of white flames at the door, illuminating the surroundings, giving off an eerie and terrifying feeling. Because Shimin Fenghua could not be disturbed while cultivating, the refined pills were placed at the door. There was a 3-meter-tall Qilin statue at the door, which would send the pills inside without Shimin Fenghua having to come out to retrieve them. Shimin Qiu placed the pills in front of the Qilin statue and left as usual. Half a day passed. The Qilin statue slowly opened its mouth, and a white light shot out, devouring the wooden box. Within the palace, Shimin Fenghua slowly opened her eyes and stretched out her hand to catch the pill box. She opened the pill box, and there were 3 blood pills inside. There were 9 cloud patterns on them, and they gave off an intoxicating medicinal fragrance. Shimin Fenghua was somewhat shocked. She felt that the quality of these pills was extremely high. This could only be achieved with a man's blood of a higher grade, and she wondered where Shimin Qiu and the others had obtained them. After checking that there were no problems, Shimin Fenghua swallowed a pill and continued to cultivate. In the end, the pill was surprisingly good, and it allowed Shimin Fenghua to cultivate 10 times faster. Shimin Fenghua revealed a smile, and she decided to reward them after she finished cultivating. She continued to cultivate. A few days later, Shimin Fenghua swallowed another pill and continued to cultivate. Soon, Shimin Fenghua finished all the pills, and the effects were astonishing. It was equivalent to cultivating for more than 10 years. If she continued to eat pills like this, she would be able to break through very quickly. Today was the day to deliver pills, and Shimin Fenghua decided to ask Shimin Qiu where he had obtained this high-quality blood. When she opened the door, she frowned because a man appeared in front of her. Shimin Fenghua instinctively wanted to kill this man, but she was also curious. Why would a man appear here? Where had Shimin Qiu and the others gone? Zhao Fu gave a slight smile and greeted, "Greetings, esteemed Alliance Master." Shimin Fenghua said coldly, "Why are you here? And who are you?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I have 2 pieces of good news for you." Shimin Fenghua asked curiously, "What good news? Say it." Zhao Fu said with a smile, "The first piece of good news is that you can always use that elixir to cultivate." Shimin Fenghua said coldly, "Is that your blood?" Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "And it's even my diluted blood. If it wasn't diluted, the effect would be better." Shimin Fenghua focused on Zhao Fu. If she could capture Zhao Fu and provide him with fresh blood, it would be of great help to her. However, Shimin Fenghua did not make a move. He said confidently, "What's the other good news?" Zhao Fu laughed and said, "There's another good news, you're going to be my woman." Shimin Fenghua's eyes flashed with killing intent. "You're courting death." Zhao Fu wasn't afraid at all. He smiled as he walked up to her and said, "You can try." Shimin Fenghua mustered her strength, but she felt a pain in her body and spat out another mouthful of blood. She did not even have the strength to stand. Zhao Fu smiled as he carried her and walked into the palace. Looking at the countless skeletons, Zhao Fu said, "You've killed quite a few men. Now you're getting your just desserts." Shimin Fenghua coldly harumphed. "I've killed people who deserved to die. I'll kill you sooner or later." Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "You might not have the chance." Shimin Fenghua said coldly, "What do you plan to do to me?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You'll find out soon." Zhao Fu took out a cloth and blindfolded her. A chain shot out from the void and bound her hands and hung her up. Shimin Fenghua furiously shouted, "Bastard, I definitely won't let you off." A day later, Zhao Fu looked at Shimin Fenghua in his embrace and said, "Look, your constitution doesn't reject me, right?" Shimin Fenghua looked quite confused as she asked, "Who are you?" After all, Shimin Fenghua's master had said that with her constitution, she would only reject the man she was destined to be with. However, Shimin Fenghua could not accept that this man was the man she was destined to be with. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I don't want to tell you right now, but it doesn't matter. After all, the Western Alliance's 12 alliance masters are under my control." Hearing this, Shimin Fenghua felt quite doubtful and said, "That's impossible. How can you have such power?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "I don't care if you believe me or not, I've already controlled them." Hearing Zhao Fu's words, Shimin Fenghua felt quite doubtful and asked, "Is that true?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he nodded. Shimin Fenghua looked at Zhao Fu and said, "You." Shimin Fenghua did not know what to say. This fellow had such great power to control the 12 alliance masters. She did not know what methods Zhao Fu had used and whether he would use such despicable method. Shimin Fenghua asked, "What is your goal?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Since you're the last one, it doesn't matter if I tell you. I don't have any goals, and I don't harm the Western Alliance. I just want that origin skeleton. Shimin Fenghua's expression fell as she said, You're that origin skeleton? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Shimin Fenghua understood and said, No wonder my constitution doesn't dislike you. Zhao Fu took Shimin Fenghua's spatial ring and smiled as he said, I'll be going then. Shimin Fenghua stretched out her hand, planning to take off the cloth covering her eyes, and Zhao Fu did not stop her. Now that he had controlled the 12 Alliance Masters, there was no need to hide his appearance. When Shimin Fenghua took off the cloth and saw Zhao Fu's appearance, she could not help but look shocked. It was evident that she had never seen such a good-looking man before. At that moment Zhao Fu got up. Shimin Fenghua lightly harumphed as she said, Wait for me. Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, What, you want to go as well? Shimin Fenghua nodded as she said, I've always been quite curious about that origin skeleton. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Let's go together. Zhao Fu and Shimin Fenghua left the palace. Shimin Qiu and the other women watched as Shimin Fenghua walked out with a perfectly looking man. They had never seen Zhao Fu's appearance before, but looking at Zhao Fu's clothes, they were certain that Zhao Fu was that man. However, they felt quite strange as to why their alliance master had come out with him. Didn't their alliance master hate men the most? She had long since felt quite uncomfortable being near men. Seeing them walk over, Shimin Qiu and the other women started to feel nervous. After all, they had betrayed Shimin Fenghua, and they did not know how Shimin Fenghua would deal with them. As such, they immediately knelt and said, Alliance Master, please forgive us. Chapter 30-33. Book 1, Chapter 2. Looking at the 4 women in front of her, Shimin Fenghua coldly said, The 4 of you still know that you were wrong? Shimin Qiu and the other 3 women looked terrified and hurriedly explained, Alliance Master, we were forced, and it was another Alliance Master who captured us. We couldn't resist at all, and we even asked him not to harm you before we agreed to help him. Shimin Fenghua thought about it and decided not to pursue the matter. Everyone, get up! The 4 women let out a sigh of relief. Shimin Ing asked in a small voice, Alliance Master, what are we going to do now? Shimin Fenghua replied, To the treasury. The other Alliance Masters had been paying attention to this because Shimin Fenghua was the last Alliance Master. After Zhao Fu took control of her, something big would definitely happen, and Zhao Fu's goal would be revealed. After hearing that Zhao Fu was going to the treasury, the women also headed there. In actuality, Shimin Mei and Shimin Luoli did not know about Zhao Fu's identity, and Zhao Fu did not force them or use despicable methods to deal with them. Zhao Fu came to a platform. 12 square stones were floating in the air. Each of them was 2 meters wide, and they were arranged in a horizontal line. Shimin Nightingale was the first to arrive, and looking at the man beside Shimin Fenghua, Shimin Nightingale said, You're that bastard? Zhao Fu lightly laughed. Shimin Nightingale looked at Zhao Fu's appearance and lightly harumphed. I never thought that a fellow like you would be so good-looking. Is this your goal for coming here? Zhao Fu nodded. By now, Shimin Mei, Shimin Shi, and Shimin Tian had also arrived. Hearing Shimin Nightingale's words, they knew that the man in front of them was the despicable man who had always bullied them. Seeing how perfect Zhao Fu was, they could somewhat accept it. Shimin Yan also came and looked at Zhao Fu with a strange look on her face. Wasn't this person Shimin Luoli's son-in-law? So he was the one who had been torturing her all this time. Back then, she actually did not see through it. However, it was indeed difficult to connect the two. Shimin Nua, Shimin Qinzhu, Shimin Chueshue, and the other women also arrived. When they saw Zhao Fu standing there, they were somewhat surprised. They were very curious about Zhao Fu's true appearance. After all, Zhao Fu had always bullied them, but they did not even know what Zhao Fu looked like. Shimin Shangxi was still a little uncertain as she asked, Are you really that person? Zhao Fu chuckled and said, Do you want to come over and experience it again? Shimin Shangshi blushed and spat, bad guy. Because Shimin Luoli and Shimin Mei were the last to receive the news, they were also the last to arrive. Seeing Zhao Fu standing there, Shimin Luoli asked curiously, Zijuan, why are you here? Shimin Yan said, you still don't know his identity? Shimin Luoli asked curiously, what? Shimin Mei chuckled, what kind of status does that guy have? How come I don't know anything about him? Shimin Yan said softly, it seems that you two have been kept in the dark by that bastard. Let me tell you, that fellow has been using all sorts of despicable methods to deal with us. Shimin Chueshua said somewhat resentfully, that fellow used my origin pearl to threaten me and make me submit to him. Shimin Nightingale said coldly, he also pretended to be a woman and deceived my feelings. In the end, he used despicable poison to make me submit. Shimin Yan said, he used my son to make me submit. Shimin Nua also said, he used my little brother to threaten me. Shimin Shangshi said with a red face, that fellow also used that despicable method to deal with me. Shimin Mei coldly snorted and said, you guys are considered good. This bastard directly insulted us and then forced us to separate from our husband. Now we have divorced our husband and it's all because of this guy. Hearing this, Shimin Luoli had never thought that Zhao Fu would act like this, and she looked quite angry as she called out, Seaman Jun, get over here. Zhao Fu said somewhat awkwardly, what is it? Shimin Luoli said coldly, is this true? Zhao Fu awkwardly nodded. Seeing that Zhao Fu was actually quite afraid of Shimin Luoli, the women all looked as if they were waiting to watch a good show. Shimin Fenghua lightly laughed as she said, I'll also say this. That fellow poisoned my medicinal pill and humiliated me. Shimin Luoli walked over to Zhao Fu and angrily pinched Zhao Fu, saying, you bastard, I was blind to marry my daughter to you. Zhao Fu hugged Shimin Luoli and comforted her, saying, I truly like you and your mother, but I couldn't do anything about it. I'm only at the Emperor Heaven Realm, so how could I control them? I could only use such a method. Hearing this, Shimin Luoli's expression softened. Shimin Nightingale said, you could use such a method to control us, but why humiliate us? And many times. Shimin Yan's face became slightly red as she said, that's right. Zhao Fu gave an awkward smile. Shimin Luoli angrily pinched Zhao Fu again, saying, you bastard, I've seen through you. No wonder you weren't willing to leave behind restrictions. Zhao Fu explained, I had no choice. You're all too beautiful and I want you all. Hearing this, the women felt much better because Zhao Fu liked them and did not treat them as things that could be casually thrown away. Shimin Luoli's expression was still cold. Shimin Fenghua smiled as she said, all right, let's open the treasury now. The women looked at Shimin Fenghua strangely. Shimin Nightingale asked, why do we need to open the treasury? Shimin Fenghua looked at Zhao Fu and said, this fellow is the origin bone, and he came here for the origin skeleton. The women looked quite shocked. They had never thought that Zhao Fu was the origin bone. Shimin Luoli had never thought that the origin bone she had been waiting for would suddenly appear in front of her without her knowing. Shimin Yan asked, are you really the origin bone? Zhao Fu nodded. Shimin Yan let out a breath and said, actually, it would be easier to resolve things if you told us your identity. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, that's not necessarily true. I like to control others, not be controlled by others. Shimin Yan said, what do you want the origin skeleton for? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I want to revive her and obtain the last piece of broken bronze. Shimin Qingzhu said in shock, your origin artifact is the primal chaos origin mirror? Shimin No asked, do you know the origin of that origin artifact? Shimin Qingzhu explained, I didn't know before, but after finding out his identity, I confirmed the information about that origin artifact. It's the primal chaos origin mirror, an extremely precious primal chaos origin mirror, and it's rumored that only the origin race's patriarch can wield it. Everyone gasped as their hearts started to beat violently. This had completely exceeded their expectations. Chapter 30-34. Book 1, Chapter 3. Shimin Fenghua looked at Zhao Fu. If you control the primal chaos origin mirror, you're not an ordinary member of the origin race, right? Zhao Fu had 2 first-generation origin bloodlines, and he smiled as he said, "Of course I'm not an ordinary member of the origin race." Shimin Fenghua asked, "Then are you the son of the origin race's patriarch? Is that the most noble identity I can think of?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "My bloodline is even more noble than the patriarch's son." Shimin Fenghua asked, "Just what is your identity?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "I can't tell you now, but perhaps you'll find out in the future." Shimin Nightingale unhappily harumphed, "You're still not willing to tell us?" Zhao Fu said, "All right, I don't want to waste any more time, I want to open the treasury immediately." Shimin Noa said, "How are you going to open the treasury? Let us do it." Zhao Fu smiled as he took out 12 command medallions and said, "There's no need." Seeing Zhao Fu's command medallions, the women realized why Zhao Fu had taken away their spatial rings. It was to open the treasury. Zhao Fu waved the command medallions in his hand, and the 12 command medallions turned into 12 rays of light that shot towards the 12 cubes in the air. The 12 cubes gave off boundless light and a shocking aura spread out. The space continuously twisted and changed before a large hole appeared. This was the entrance to the treasury. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he flew into the large hole. The women also flew in. After entering the treasury, there were mountains of treasures that gave off dazzling lights, making people feel abnormally excited. The most eye-catching thing was that there was a jade bed at the center with a jade-like white skeleton on it. It seemed to be covered by primal chaos power and gave off extremely powerful ripples. This was the origin skeleton. Even after dying for so many years, it still gave off such terrifying ripples. It could be seen how powerful the origin race had been. Zhao Fu walked forwards and came to the jade table. The other women came over, and Shimin Luoli asked, "How do you plan on reviving her?" Zhao Fu thought for a moment and said, "I don't know. I can only give it a try now. You guys leave for a while." Zhao Fu decided to use the power of the evil immortal. Shimin Fenghua frowned. "Why do we have to retreat? Do you have some unspeakable secret? Also, I have to remind you that you can't stay in the treasury for too long, or else it will automatically close." Zhao Fu thought for a moment. "This place is indeed not suitable. I'll take it out first." After saying that, Zhao Fu stepped forward, intending to carefully collect the essence skeletons. However, when Zhao Fu made contact with one of the essence skeletons, Zhao Fu's body shuddered. Boom! With a loud explosion, many bronze shards shot out from Zhao Fu's body. These were the shards of the origin weapon. After the shards shot out, they scattered around the origin skeleton, and each shard radiated with powerful chaotic force. Boom! Another explosion sounded out as a golden wave of light blasted out, forcing Zhao Fu back a few steps. Zhao Fu looked quite confused as he found that he had lost control over the bronze shards. The other women looked at this scene in shock, not knowing what was going on. The bronze shards gave off a massive wave of chaotic force, lifting up the skeleton and making it hover in the air. A massive wave of chaotic force flowed into the skeleton, causing it to give off a powerful might of the origin race. Zhao Fu did not feel much, but Shimin Fenghua and the other women felt a bloodline might, making them feel quite uncomfortable. Suddenly, the heavens and earth changed as clouds swirled and the sun and moon lost their light. Chaotic force madly gathered and flowed into the treasury, entering the bronze shards. The bronze shards gave off terrifying power and motes of gray light floated out from the shards, gathering towards the origin skeleton. They then lightly landed on the origin skeleton and fused into it. Seeing this scene, Zhao Fu could not help but think to himself, Could it be that Yao's soul is still within the bronze shards? The primal chaos origin mirror's purpose was to give primal chaos source energy and protect souls. Perhaps the person who had buried Yao wanted to use this method to revive her. Shimin Fenghua said, "What do we do now? Do you need our help?" Zhao Fu replied, "No need, I can't do anything right now. I can only wait and see what happens." Everyone started to wait. The chaotic force continuously flowed in, and the bronze shards continued to give off terrifying power as they flowed into the origin skeleton. Within the origin skeleton's head, the motes of gray light gathered, forming a gray flame, and traces of life force rose up. Shimin Fenghua and the other women looked incredibly shocked. They could tell that the origin skeleton was about to revive. This was an ancient origin race, and it was possible that it was the daughter of the clan chief. Everyone felt incredibly shocked, and their expressions became serious. The power continued to flow in. The origin skeleton gave off more and more life force, and in the end, it started to grow flesh. The flesh continued to grow, forming a piece of flesh. The flesh continued to grow, forming a flawless woman. This woman's looks and figure were both perfect, and she was only slightly weaker than Zhao Fu. However, in the primal chaos world, she was the #1 beauty, and almost no one could compare to her. This was the origin race's natural advantage. Seeing this scene, everyone's gazes were attracted by this woman. At that moment, the heaven and earth power that flowed in gradually stopped, and the bronze shards no longer gave off terrifying power. Zhao Fu regained control over the bronze shards, and he put them away. The woman silently floated in the air. Everyone did not make a sound and continued to wait. Not too long later, the woman slowly opened her eyes, revealing a pair of starry eyes. She turned to look at everyone and asked curiously, "Who are you?" Seeing that she had revived, everyone could not help but feel quite excited. Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "I was the one who revived you. Do you still remember the past?" Right now, what Zhao Fu cared about the most was the matter of the bronze shard. Reviving her was also for the sake of the bronze shard. Yao thought about it and said, "I don't remember who I am." Zhao Fu frowned. Shimin Fenghua said with a trace of politeness, "We are the Alliance Masters of the Western Alliance, and we brought your skeleton back. The secret realm you were in has already collapsed, and I believe that you have been dead for countless years. It will take some time for you to recover your memories." The women were quite polite and respectful towards Yao's identity. After all, her identity was simply too terrifying. Chapter 30-35. "Oh!" Yao lightly replied. Zhao Fu continued to ask, "Then do you know about the final bronze shard?" Zhao Fu continued to ask, "Do you know about the last bronze shard? Is it the one in your body?" Yao asked curiously, "What's a bronze shard? It feels so familiar." Zhao Fu nodded. "I'm only lacking the final bronze shard to repair it." Yao said, "I'm not sure right now, but I can faintly sense it. I'll only be able to sense it after I recover some of my power." Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. Luckily she could sense it, or else all of this would have been for nothing. Shimin Fenghua said, "Let's leave the treasury. It's about to close." Everyone left the treasury. Shimin Fenghua and the other women prepared a place for Yao to quietly recover her power. They also forbade anyone from mentioning this matter, as if this news spread out, it would shake the entire world. After all, this was the origin race from ancient times. Siemens Meng, Siemens Qing, and Yo Chun coldly looked at Zhao Fu. They now knew who Zhao Fu was and the despicable things that Zhao Fu had done. Yo Chun said angrily, "I never thought that you were such a person, you're even worse than Yo Hu." Siemens Meng said coldly, "You're the origin race, yet you hid it from me for so long. If this matter was not exposed, were you planning on hiding it forever?" Siemens Qing said, "I could have supported you unconditionally, but this time, I won't support you. You need to give us an explanation." Zhao Fu explained, I have my own difficulties, but I truly like all of you. Siemens Meng coldly harumphed. We considered your difficulties, but did you consider us? Zhao Fu smiled as he said, Of course I did. I wanted to tell you the moment I obtained the origin skeleton, and I'll also give you a portion of primal chaos origin energy to strengthen your constitutions and powers. I can give it to you now. Siemens Qing said, Big sis, I'll trust him one last time. I don't think he's trying to lie to us. Siemens Meng looked at her little sister and said, Little sis, you just said that you didn't support him, but now you can't help but defend him. You really like this fellow. Siemens Qing blushed and said, Well, I like him very, very much. Siemens Meng glanced at Zhao Fu. I'll trust you one last time. Zhao Fu smiled. Xin Meng looked at Niu Chun and asked, Sister Niu Chun, when did you two get together? Niu Chun explained with a blushing face. Siemens Meng rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. She didn't expect their relationship to progress faster than the two sisters, and the key point was that they didn't know. Zhao Fu walked over with a smile and hugged the three of them. A few hours later, Zhao Fu arrived at a courtyard. Yao was sitting in the courtyard, reading a book about ancient times. Right now, she was also very curious about the past. Zhao Fu walked up to her and asked with a smile, How is your strength recovering? Yao smiled at Zhao Fu and said, I've only recovered a little. I also have some questions that I want to ask you. Zhao Fu lightly smiled and said, What is it? Yao said, You're not a member of our primal chaos race, so why do you have such pure primal chaos source energy and can even control an origin weapon? Zhao Fu had a stunned expression. I didn't think that Yao would be able to tell at a glance that he wasn't a true origin child and only obtained primal chaos source energy. Yao looked at Zhao Fu and said, Also, even though you're not a member of our primal chaos race, I can sense that you have two powerful origin bloodlines in your body. Moreover, they're extremely pure. May I ask what bloodlines these two origin bloodlines are? Zhao Fu's expression did not change as he lightly smiled and said, I can't tell you that for now. I have a method that can help you recover your strength and memories. Do you want to try it? Yao asked curiously, What method? Zhao Fu smiled as he walked towards Yao. That night, pure white moonlight shone on the ground. Zhao Fu looked at Yao in his arms and lightly smiled. Do you think I helped you? Yao's face was red as she rolled her eyes at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lightly smiled and said, I'll continue to help you recover. Yao did not refuse, and Zhao Fu continued to bully her. The next morning, Zhao Fu smiled and said to Yao, If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving. Yao's face was bright red as she said shyly, Hurry up and leave. You're such a bad fellow, you only know how to bully women. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, I'll come back at night to recover my strength. Yao lightly nodded. Just as Zhao Fu left, he immediately ran into Shimen Fenghua. When Shimen Fenghua saw Zhao Fu come out, she immediately knew what had happened and said mockingly, How do women from the origin race taste? Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, Why are you jealous? Shimen Fenghua coldly harumphed and said, I'm not. I'm just a bit unhappy that the man I'm destined to be is a scum like you. Zhao Fu did not become angry and smiled as he went up and hugged her, ignoring her struggles. At night, Zhao Fu once again came to Yao's courtyard. In the following days, Zhao Fu was quite relaxed. He did not do anything and spent all day with the women. Sometimes, he would even spend time with the 12 Alliance Masters. Shimen Nua lay in Zhao Fu's embrace and said, Can you remove the power from my little brother's body now? Shimen Yen said, And my son. Zhao Fu smiled and said, Sure, Shimen Nua's little brother is fine. As for your son, he really offended me and even tried to touch my woman. Tell him to be more careful next time or else don't blame me. Shimen Yen said, Got it, I'll tell him. Also, after torturing me for so long, are you still angry? Zhao Fu smiled and said, Of course not. You can continue to work hard in the future. Shimin Yan's face became red. Zhao Fu took out a pearl and handed it to Shimin Shueisha as he said, "I'll return this to you. Make sure to take good care of it in the future." However, Shimin Shueisha's face became slightly red as she said, "I'll leave my life essence pearl with you, it feels safer that way. Moreover, if anything happens to me, it should be easier for you to revive me." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Shimin Nightingale said, "What about the poison in my body?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed and said, "You didn't do too well, we'll talk about it in the future." Shimin Nightingale harumphed unhappily. Shimin Fenghua suddenly asked, "How is Yao's power recovering?" Zhao Fu replied, "She's recovering quite well, and her senses towards the final origin shard are becoming stronger and stronger. Soon, I'll be able to obtain the final bronze shard." Shimin Yen asked, "What will happen after you repair the origin shard?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I won't say, it'll be a surprise for you guys." Now Zhao Fu was just a tiny bit away from breaking through and awakening the primal chaos world's supreme emperor star. The moment he repaired the origin shard would be the moment that Zhao Fu would awaken. Chapter 3036, Book 1, Chapter 5. After a period of time, with Zhao Fu's help, Yao recovered some of her strength and sensed the location of the final bronze shard. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and immediately brought Yao to find that bronze shard. A few days later, Zhao Fu and Yao arrived near a small lake. Yao stretched out a finger and pointed at the lake as she said, "The final bronze shard is at the deepest part of this lake." Zhao Fu used his origin energy and pressed his hand against the surface of the lake. A massive wave of energy flowed into the lake and towards the depths of the lake, causing a few rays of light to shoot out from the depths. Zhao Fu grabbed out with his hand and the wave of energy immediately reached into the depths of the lake, pulling out a bronze shard. Looking at the bronze shard covered in mud, Zhao Fu smiled. He had finally found the final bronze shard and could now repair the primal chaos origin mirror. Yao also smiled and looked at Zhao Fu as she asked, "How do you plan on repairing it?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'll refine this shard first and then try to repair it." Yao said, "That might be very difficult." Zhao Fu understood that this was a very important origin energy of the primal chaos race, so repairing it would not be easy. However, Zhao Fu still wanted to give it a try no matter what. Zhao Fu sat down cross-legged on the ground and a wave of golden origin energy covered the bronze shard. He continuously sent energy into it, causing the bronze shard to continuously give off a powerful aura and some rust to fall off. Yao stood by the side and watched curiously. She had not recovered her memories yet, so she was still quite confused about these things. The heaven and earth power in the surroundings started to gather and continuously flowed into the bronze shard, repairing it. Boom! An enormous explosion sounded out as the bronze shard gave off a powerful wave of primal chaos force and dissipated. It looked very new and was not as rusty as before. Zhao Fu successfully repaired the bronze fragment. Zhao Fu couldn't help but feel excited. He began to absorb the bronze fragment into his body to refine it. This was not difficult at all. After Zhao Fu absorbed it into his body, his own power surged towards the bronze shard, easily refining it. The last bronze shard automatically flew to the side of the other shards. Right now, within Zhao Fu's body, there were many bronze fragments floating within Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu controlled these bronze fragments and began to assemble them. The bronze shards gave off a powerful aura as they slowly combined together, forming a cracked bronze mirror. Zhao Fu had only combined them together, not repaired them. Zhao Fu began gathering a large amount of chaos essence power within his body, forming a sphere of energy that wrapped around the bronze mirrors. A powerful origin power began to refine the cracked bronze mirror, trying to fuse them together. As long as there were no cracks, Zhao Fu would be able to repair the bronze mirror. Time slowly passed. Yao, who was waiting nearby, felt somewhat bored. She sat by the lake and played with the water. Zhao Fu suddenly sighed. Yao asked, "What's wrong?" Zhao Fu said, "I plan on using Chaos Essence power to refine and fuse them together, but these bronze shards will only absorb without showing any signs of fusing." Yao said with a slight smile, "Do you want to continue trying and wait a bit longer?" Zhao Fu nodded. Even after half a day there was still no effect. Zhao Fu was certain that this method would not work. Repairing the primal chaos origin mirror was not an easy task. After seriously thinking about it, Zhao Fu decided to try using his bloodline power. Piece by piece, bronze shards floated out from Zhao Fu's body, once again forming a cracked bronze mirror in front of him. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and used his fingernail to cut open his wrist. Blood flowed out from the wound, and under Zhao Fu's control, it flew towards the bronze mirror hovering in front of him. It then covered the bronze mirror, forming a sphere of blood that gave off a powerful bloodline power. Yao walked over, feeling somewhat shocked. She had not known this before, but now that she had personally sensed Zhao Fu's bloodline power, she realized that Zhao Fu's origin bloodline was even purer than hers, who was from the origin race. There was only one possibility, and that was that Zhao Fu's bloodline was a primeval origin bloodline. Even though one was not a chaos bloodline, it was still a chaos world bloodline, while the other was a origin bloodline from another world. Just who was this man? Zhao Fu did not know what Yao was thinking, nor did he have the time to think about it. He focused on smelting the bronze mirror. The blood was continuously absorbed by the bronze mirror. The bronze mirror shone brightly, and at the same time, it also released the power of the two powerful bloodline essences. Seeing that it was working, Zhao Fu smiled and continued to smelt the bronze mirror. The bronze mirror continuously absorbed Zhao Fu's blood, and after absorbing all of Zhao Fu's blood, it turned into a blood-red mirror and gave off a terrifying aura. Bang! Before Zhao Fu could rejoice, the bronze mirror exploded out with a massive wave of chaos power, causing countless traces of blood-red qi to gush out. This was the blood that had been absorbed, and now that the bronze mirror had expelled it, it returned to its original state. By now, because Zhao Fu had lost too much blood, his face became slightly pale, and he felt a headache coming on. One method was not enough, and Zhao Fu did not know what to do next. "Why don't we go back first, investigate the bronze mirror, and try to repair it?" Yao asked. Hearing Yao's words, Zhao Fu looked at Yao and suddenly remembered that the primal chaos origin mirror was an item from the primal chaos race, so it was understandable that it was not willing to absorb his bloodline. However, what about Yao's bloodline? She might be the chief's daughter, and her primal chaos origin bloodline was extremely pure. Perhaps she could do it. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Come here, let's try one last time. If it doesn't work, we'll go back." Yao walked over and looked at Zhao Fu as she asked curiously, "What do you need me to do?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Sit across from me, then cut your wrist and give me some of your chaos origin blood." Yao Yin replied. She sat across from Zhao Fu and cut her wrist, causing a faint gray, crystalline blood to flow out. Under Yao's control, it formed an orb of blood and floated towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu caught the orb of blood and sensed the primal chaos power within it. This was a true chaos bloodline, and it felt incredibly powerful. This was the second time that Zhao Fu had met someone from the origin race. The first person that Zhao Fu had met was Tuobiqing, and the second was Yao. After so much time had passed, Zhao Fu wondered where Tuobiqing was and what she was saying. How strong had she become? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.